to test the prototype in every way possible to establish its limits and to improve on them. The flight recording details will help us learn from the data and improve the performance of the vehicle prior to our next flight test. The company recently announced it intends to begin working on self-flying cars. Coinbase is a simple and secure online Bitcoin wallet for sending, receiving, and storing Bitcoin. Coinbase also allows you to buy and sell Bitcoin using a bank account or use their tools to accept Bitcoin as a merchant. All of your funds on Coinbase are safe, with approximately 90% of customer funds being stored offline, and all wallets are stored using AES 256 encryption. Get started at coinbase.fppradio.com. Reuters reports Polish President Bronislaw Komorowski finished a surprise second behind his conservative opponent in the first round of a presidential election on Sunday and must now face him in a runoff. Being forced into another round later this month pointed to voter disenchantment, an alarming prospect for Komorowski's allies in the Polish government, who hope to win a record third term in office in a parliamentary election later this year. Andrzej Duda, the winning candidate, said late on Sunday the result should be seen as a serious warning for the whole broadly defined governing camp. The exit poll by Ipsos put Komorowski at 32.2% of the vote and projected 34.8% for Duda, who is running for the conservative Law and Justice opposition party. Opinion polls before Sunday showed the incumbent with a comfortable lead. The exit poll showed Paweł Kukiz, a rock musician, was third with 20.3% of the vote. The outcome of the runoff is likely to hinge on which candidate wins over the most Kukiz voters. He has endorsed allies of Komorowski in past elections. Komorowski, addressing supporters who gathered in the National Stadium in Warsaw to celebrate what they had expected would be a victory, said he would try to reconnect with voters disappointed with their rulers. Komorowski said, "Let's not have any illusions. We face hard work, a hard fight, but I am convinced that we are also facing victory." In Poland, Eastern Europe's biggest economy, the prime minister has the most power, but the president wields clout as the head of the armed forces, has a say in foreign policy, and the power to veto legislation. The presidential election is a dress rehearsal for the parliamentary vote, when the center-right Civic Platform Party will face a strong challenge from Law and Justice. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
I'm getting joined by Ellie Granderson. She's going to put a feminine scope on these lace kerchief starbuggers and give us her lady opinion. Ellie?
Hi, Joe.
You know, it riles me up every time you walk in here, Ellie. You set my blood to dancing with all your pillowy parts.
Oh, stop it, Joe.
Now give it to me, no fimble famble, Ellie. When we start dusting these rocket boys' lily white bottoms with baby puff?
Joe, since the end of the Cold War, NASA has basically functioned as a giveaway to the American aerospace industry, wasting trillions of taxpayer dollars every year on extravagant programs with no tangible benefit.
Fine as a plum to look at, all the sense of a badger to boot.
Joe.
Now I've been thinking on, I got these three little chickens pecking on my head. Will save NASA some coin. Man wants to go to space, can strap on the helmet, climb in the cannon, let the Chinese gunpowder carry him off among the stars. Y'all come back now. Gonna skin a fox in one throat, and you're gonna fancy on it.
This is the Onion News Network.
Welcome to Free Talk Live. You are invited to join us here toll-free to bring up whatever happens to be on your mind at 855-450-FREE. That is 855-450-FREE. With you in studio, it's Ian here.
Derrick J.
And Mark.
And we're going to get right into your calls. We've got a story that both you, Derrick J. and Mark, came in with separately. And that's always a good indicator that that's what we should do, which is about Liberland. Now, if you've been listening within the last few months, you've heard us talk about Liberland. I think it hit the news a few weeks back about this guy who decided to sort of stake a claim to what is supposedly unclaimed territory. Apparently, it's in between Croatia and Serbia, and now he's been arrested. So we'll find out what's happening there. But first, go to Zach in Chicago. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Zach.
Hey, so I've been meaning to call in with this for a while, and it's just something that I've kind of like an idea that I've developed over the time of like listening to you and just kind of doing independent research. And I've come to this conclusion about like the United States justice system and the like the laws and the entire structure that we base our laws off of, and that it's kind of like flawed to a core. I think that the largest problem with our the system that we developed our laws for is that it's based on regulating morality rather than regulating like actual like an action. So a law against all these victimless crime laws could be ruled out because a lot of it deals with, is that moral, is it right or wrong? And that can be easily left up to interpretation. Laws like don't kill someone, that's kind of obvious, that's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that basically to like looking further down the road, if a society were to be like a voluntarist or libertarian society, I think their law system would have to be based upon laws that can't be disputed. Like if you have a law where an officer may be able to decide whether or not to enforce it, that's a law that shouldn't exist. If a law should not be enforced 100% of the time, it should not exist because it is obviously something that can be interpreted and have a different view on it. Like it could be someone's more.
This is something that I've actually had a conversation with Ian about on the air, and he didn't agree. His concept was that officers should use discretion. And my opinion is we should have far fewer laws, and those laws should be enforced uniformly. Now, the difficulty is how do we enforce them when the people that enforce them, the officers, and frankly the people that create them, the politicians and the bureaucrats and all these other folks, they don't have the they're not going to enforce them on themselves nearly as effectively. If one says that we need speed limits, and I'd make the argument that one needs to limit one's speed on the road, that it can be unsafe to travel at too high of a speed. We can reasonably expect that, say, police officers are not going to be as good at giving out tickets to other police officers or their mothers or, the people that they find out there. But they probably, if it's worth pulling somebody over, it's worth giving them a ticket, it seems to me.
That's not a good law either, Mark, because that's not one that, like the caller brings up, could be enforced 100% of the time. Like, what if there's a medical emergency, a pregnancy, or someone chopped a limb off?
Yeah, I think discretion's important to have. I don't think, Mark, that I was saying that murder charges should be used with discretion. What I was saying is that while we've got the system we have, I want police who use discretion, who use their brains, who use their thought power to determine whether or not somebody should be taken in for something. We've got a bunch of bad laws on the books, and they're not going to go away anytime soon. So meanwhile, let's have thinking cops or more peace officer-oriented people rather than mindless automatons. I think that's where I was coming from on that. But Zach, are you going to law school or something like that? What got you interested in this?
I just kind of like philosophy and studying it. I also had one more question that's a little unrelated, but it's something that I also really wanted to get your guys' opinion on.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so the United States Coast Guard, I have decided to join the Coast Guard.
Oh no!
I am.
You're a drug warrior?
Okay, yeah. So I understand. Yeah. So let me give my 2 cents about it real quick.
All right.
I definitely buy into libertarian philosophies and voluntarist philosophies. I know that it's kind of weird for me to join the Coast Guard, but one of the main problems is I really, really want to go to school and kind of get further education, and I have no way to pay for it. And also, I picked the Coast Guard after a lot of thought and kind of contemplation and self-reflection because I believe that out of all the branches of the military, that's the one that kind of aligns with my beliefs the most, where they're centered more on helping people than they are on doing a lot of bad.
What are you going to do if they order you onto some drug interdiction squad?
So, yes, that was another thing that entered my mind. And what I was thinking is that if you are in the Coast Guard, you're stopping most likely you're going to be on a drug interdiction squad, stopping a cartel member or someone that is bringing drugs across the border. And although I do disagree with the war on drugs, I do think that most cartel members are going to be generally bad people, and that they're doing things other than drugs, other than smuggling drugs, and that I would rather have a local grower and seller and distributor.
That sounds like it sounds like you're really bending over backwards to justify aggressing against people who are just trying to bring a product to the marketplace. To me.
I'm sorry.
Ian said that you're bending over backwards in order to justify your own actions.
You're jumping to the conclusion that just because somebody is bringing something in a boat, that they must be related to a cartel, and therefore they're doing other things that are bad and violent. And that's not a fair presumption to make. There are all kinds of people that are smuggling drugs, and many of them are not involved with cartel activity.
A lot of people are just poor.
Yeah.
I thought you said you were into philosophy. That doesn't sound very consistent.
I am. I do. I enjoy studying a lot of different areas, and I just, it's kind of one of those situations where I'm backed into a corner where it's either
No, you're not.
You're making a choice here.
You're never backed into the corner to join an aggressive agency of force.
How else would I? I mean, if you have an alternative, like how else would I be able to?
Absolutely.
Like,
give me just 1 second if I could.
Like I can.
So
yeah,
you can't pay for school. I have a friend who is joining the Air Force, and I don't want him to join the Air Force. I can assure you. I don't like the idea of him joining the Air Force. But after his explanation, I had to give him my blessing. The reason is because he's going in. He wants to be a meteorologist. He's passionate about weather. I've actually tested him a couple of times to just sort of see, is he in fact passionate about weather? And he certainly knew the weather forecast for that day, which I think is pretty good for a 20-year-old male to just be able to rattle off a weather forecast. Says to me that he's passionate about it. And he's going to go into the Air Force in order to be a meteorologist. Now, if you go into the Air Force to be a meteorologist, then okay, and I guess he's set it up so that he can't be tricked into going into some other field and this kind of things. And he had to wait to get in because of this. It's some kind of delayed entry program, waiting for that job to come open. And the Air Force, they're going to get their weather predicted, especially stateside, which is where he's supposed to be stationed. They're going to get their weather predicted whether he's there or not. They're probably going to get people arrested and thrown in jail, poor people who are simply trying to get a little bit money to feed their families, like many of these people who are transporting drugs likely are. The high-end cartel people aren't on these boats making sure the shipments get where they want. They're sending expendables, people who are willing to work for very little and take all the risk. And in that circumstance, yeah, I mean, likely the government is going to find somebody else to do that job. But, a friend of mine was in the Coast Guard. He told me about he had to hold a gun on a man who, if that man had gotten 5 feet past him into the cabin of the boat, he would have been free and not had to go back to Cuba. And my question to you is, sir, are you willing to hold an AR-15 on a man to keep him away from freedom? And will you shoot that man dead if he tries to get a little more freedom in his life? Because if you aren't, you are not qualified for that job.
I think there are situations where one could use discretion, as you said earlier. Although
not if your commanding officer's standing right there.
You're going to be tried.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think you got some more
courts-martial.
I think you got more to think about. Thanks, Zach, for the call tonight. 855-450-FREE is our toll-free number. You can join us on Skype at Skype username LRN.FM. So, yeah, I like where you're coming from with the guy with the Air Force, Mark, to where he's going to be in a role that arguably is not even really particularly supportive of killing anyone. You
can believe that I did my best. If you can tell me how I can talk to my friend and keep him from going into the Air Force, please do that. But I couldn't figure it out.
855-450-FREE. Your thoughts on college, the Coast Guard, or whatever's on your mind. It's Free Talk Live.
There are 2 types of advertising. Pull advertising, like Google AdWords, where a consumer goes looking for widgets near them and you try to pull them in with your ad away from the other widget purveyors. Then there's push advertising, where you push your message out about your great widgets and attempt to convince people who weren't thinking about widgets at all that what they need in their life right now is your widget. Radio is push advertising. In the course of a week, there are probably over 250,000 good folks listening to Free Talk Live, and they could hear your message. We're having a sale right now, and it ends May 15th. 200 30-second ads for $1,997. That's like $10 an ad. Find another show with that kind of rate with 150-plus stations. Email me, Mark Edge at mark@freetalklive.com, and I'll set you up. You don't need to have an ad. We'll produce it for you. Buy 200 30-second ads by May 15th and get them for less than $10 a piece. It's a big savings, and you don't want to miss it. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com now. This is Mark of Free Talk Live. We've been witnessing a meltdown of the economic engine that powers our country.
With a printing press tethered to Washington bureaucrats and New York central bankers, how can we trust paper money? For years, I've been buying gold and silver from Midas Resources, and you should too. Call 877-357-9938 for a free book titled 10 Reasons to Own Gold, or go to gold.freetalklive.com. Again, 877-357-9938. 877-357-9938.
Farmers keep livestock lean and healthy with a mineral-rich diet. Then, before market, they cut off minerals, leaving them to crave high-calorie grains. If weight control is this easy, why prescribe surgery for humans? Introducing Youngevity. You could avoid 900 diseases by getting 90 essential nutrients from Youngevity. Check out 90 for Life at tobeyoungagain.com or call 855-79-YOUNG. That's 855-79-YOUNG or tobeyoungagain.com. Youngevity. It's all about saving money, getting healthy, and creating wealth.
Cato University is the Cato Institute's premier educational event of the year. It's being held this year from July the 26th to the 31st at the Cato Institute's state-of-the-art headquarters in Washington, D.C. This annual program brings together outstanding faculty and participants from across the country and often from around the globe, with everyone sharing a commitment to liberty and learning. Cato University is a genuine community, and you can freely share viewpoints, concerns, ideas, questions, and more in an atmosphere of friendship and personal respect. It's a one-of-a-kind program for people who don't stop thinking after they got out of school. It's for people who don't want politicians or bureaucrats or officials to do their thinking for them. It's for people who value liberty. You'll learn, you'll be inspired, you'll make new friends. You'll meet great people from around the world. All of the details are spelled out at the Cato website, cato.org, and they hope to see you there this summer, July the 26th through the 31st in Washington, D.C. Again, details are at cato.org.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
New Hampshire is under quarantine as walking corpses devour the flesh of the living. Max is 11 years old and surviving alone. Slow-moving and non-thinking, the dead swarm his home. Now he must apply his Porcupine Freedom Scouts training to improvise his escape. Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, or read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
We are back with more Free Talk Live. Plenty of time for you to share your thoughts with us here at 855-450-FREE or Skype, LRN.FM. We had a consultant we were talking to today, Mark, just raving about how Skype sounds here on Free Talk Live.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
You know, it'd be nice if we could have Skype only, where everybody called on Skype, but unfortunately we're not there yet. Maybe at some point in the future, all phones will really sound good, but sadly, the old phone networks has to support a lot of legacy phone handsets and connections.
What I thought was most heartening about what our consultant had to say, and I mean, to some extent, you're going to have to take for a grain of salt what somebody you pay says, but he said we were basically the best in our time slot.
Ooh. Yeah, well, I mean, it is. I mean, he certainly is more likely to blow smoke than somebody you're not paying, right?
Yep.
So,
but this is the guy who, consulted for Howard Stern, right? Like he's as big of a name as it gets in the industry.
Of course, we're not really up against anyone great in our time slot.
Well,
either,
that's kind of his point.
Right? It's not hard to, I mean, this is what I've always noticed about radio: is it's not hard to really be outstanding in this business because it's full of a bunch of drunks and losers and people like our old general manager who would go out. And this guy was like running/owning a radio station. He'd go to the bar 3 doors down, and we were on Main Street in Sarasota, Florida, with like a Main Street window front studio. This guy would get there at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, roll over into the bar right when they opened, and come back at 4 o'clock, 3 sheets to the wind, and make management decisions about his radio station.
That is not an inaccurate statement.
So anyway, you can join us on Skype, LRN.FM. Also, if you're online, you need to protect yourself, and ProXPN can help you with that. They are a global virtual private network, and they encrypt your internet connection. Whether we're talking about your cell phone, laptop, work desktop, wherever you compute, whether it's Windows, Mac, iOS, Android, or Linux, ProXPN can help protect you from your internet service provider knowing what you're doing and maybe even saving your surfing history, criminals trying to sniff your Wi-Fi packets. ProXPN can solve all that. You go and get their software for free right now at proxpn.com/FTL. That's proxpn.com/FTL. And you can also use promo code FTL50 to save 50% off the price of their annual account, which, by the way, locks the savings in for the lifetime of your account. So when you're ready for year number 2, you get the same great deal. proxpn.com/FTL, code FTL50. With that premium account, you'll get unlimited bandwidth, servers around the world that you can access. You can privately torrent and get past regionally blocked websites. This is a super handy service for less than $5 a month when you use our code FTL50 at proxpn.com/FTL. And you also get a risk-free 7-day money-back guarantee. And ProXPN does not keep records of your online habits at all. So proxpn.com/FTL with code FTL50. I wanted to talk a little bit further about Zach, who had called in with this plan to, I don't know if you want to call it a half-cocked plan, to join the Coast Guard. He wants to go to school. And we kind of talked about how the Coast Guard, if you love freedom, is going to put you likely in positions where you will possibly have to strip people's freedom from them and put them in handcuffs for not hurting anyone else, like people smuggling drugs or people smuggling people across the ocean.
Yeah, like what an unoriginal idea to think, I want to go to school. How do I pay for it? The military. That's been the way for generations. And I just challenge Zach to think a little harder about alternative forms of payment.
There are ways, of course, to get scholarship and all that. But the one thing we didn't ask Zach, which was, what did he want to go to school for? And there's a lot that you really don't need to go to school for these days, and college tends to be overrated, I think.
I would really caution young people right now about, giving away years of your life and compromising
tens of thousands of dollars.
Your principles. Well, first he compromises his principle, gives away years of his life. Then he gives away years more of his life and a great deal of money for school that may or may not be of use.
It's like buying a house going to college now.
It is really
and then
expensive.
you don't even get a house.
At least you can live in the house.
And you're not going to use the degree for what you did. Use what
Mostly
you got
you won't,
it for. Mostly.
Right? Lots of people who go to college, they have this dream. And this picture that's been painted for them while they've been in high school and middle school. You got to go to college and get a job and then, work for dozens of years and then retire. And then when you go to college, you end up with this degree which may or may not actually help you get a job in the field that you're looking to get it in. Many of them end up, working as waiters while they're trying to get into whatever field they want to.
I'd say the vast majority of degrees are useless.
For me, older generations while I was growing up were always telling me, and then you'll go to college. Like, it's a matter of course thing. Like, it's not even a decision that a person makes.
And you did, right?
Yeah, I did, because it was a matter of course thing. I felt kind of like forced into it. It's not like, you have to choose one. It's not
Did you get a degree?
No, I dropped out.
Okay. Ian, you
I got an AA, but I wish I didn't.
It's practically dropping out.
I wish I didn't spend the time doing that. It was like a retread of high school, like high school with cigarettes is I think what they called it. And I even had one of the same science books that I had in high school. So
well, you did go to the smart school.
Well, yeah, but nonetheless, it was ridiculous, and I could have spent my time doing other things, and because I was going to college, I was falling asleep on the way to school, like when I was driving.
You could have died.
I could have died over this, which really ultimately hasn't brought me any benefit, and I had to unlearn some of the things that they taught me.
And this isn't even to mention the things like the Khan Academy that didn't even exist at the time.
That's right.
Now there are ways that people can self-educate through the internet, and places like MIT are putting their college courses and lectures online for people to download for free.
Yeah, but the college supporters say that, okay, fine, you can go and get your education, but that piece of paper means that you can stick to it, that you went through the 4 years and that you have that determination.
Like 98% of the rest of the population? Wow. So impressive.
Yeah, I think that if you're going to be a doctor, a lawyer, a engineer, there's probably a few more people on a short list of folks that you got to have a degree, then it's worth it. But my uncle is a pretty acclaimed engineer. He was on the team that made those sensor things for lights when they to make them change and stuff. And when you roll over it with your car. So I should have said stoplights. I mean, there's all kinds of lights. But he said he had a guy on his crew that had the ITT degree. You can't tell me that you can't do this significantly more cheaply. And so if he had somebody on his team, that says to me that, this is somebody who's passionate about what they wanted to do.
What is ITT? Is it like a Votech school or something?
It's a technical, right?
It's just
like
you're sent the stuff.
Votech?
I don't remember the term. Correspondence school.
Okay.
It's a correspondence school. So, they send you the stuff, you do things at home, and then you send it back.
A quick Google search of ITT degree pulls up the first search result, worthless.
Well, apparently my uncle
team,
didn't think so.
Right? I mean, he was on the team with
them.
Yeah,
but your point stands. It could be done much more cheaply.
Yeah. So nonetheless, that's all I'm saying is that it really depends on what he's going into. And we didn't ask him. And I
think there's one other thing, too, with the military. We've heard stories about people who expected that they were going to get some sort of financial aid, but then ultimately the deal wasn't what they thought that it was going to be. It wasn't what it was sold to them as. And I'm sorry, I don't remember the details of like how exactly the military screwed them, but they definitely felt like they didn't get what was supposed to be coming to them.
You mean recruiters lied?
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
Yeah. So, there were certain requirements that they had to meet in order to qualify for a certain amount of funding or whatever, and they
for whatever reason they didn't know what it was, or they didn't stick to it, and they didn't get what they hoped to get.
And then you can't do anything about it. You can't sue the military. It's just the rules are the rules, and they can change those rules anytime they want to. By the way. If after 4 years...
If they misapply those rules, too bad for you.
Right. You can't... There's no accountability for them for that. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Share your thoughts. Also coming up, the founder of Liberland apparently has been arrested for trespass. It's Free Talk Live. More on the way.
It's time to build your own emergency food stockpile with the industry leader, My Patriot Supply. Once you try them, you'll know why so many Americans like you have made them part of their emergency preparedness plan. Experience the My Patriot Supply difference today with this unbelievable offer. Right now, a 4-week food supply is only $99, and that includes free shipping. That's 50% off the online price. Call 800-274-3070 to claim yours. Limit 2 per caller while supplies last. This offer isn't available online, so you want to make sure and grab this opportunity to get prepared today. 800-274-3070 to get your 4-week food supply for the incredible price of only $99, and it'll be shipped to you completely free. Call 800-274-3070 right now. That's 800-274-3070 to claim yours while supplies last. Don't wait. Call today.
There are 2 types of advertising. Pull advertising, like Google AdWords, where a consumer goes looking for widgets near them and you try to pull them in with your ad away from the other widget purveyors. Then there's push advertising, where you push your message out about your great widgets and attempt to convince people who weren't thinking about widgets at all that what they need in their life right now is your widget. Radio is push advertising. In the course of a week, there are probably over 250,000 good folks listening to Free Talk Live, and they could hear your message. We're having a sale right now, and it ends May 15th. 200 30-second ads for $1,997. That's like $10 an ad. Find another show with that kind of rate with 150 plus stations. Email me, Mark Edge at mark@freetalklive.com, and I'll set you up. You don't need to have an ad. We'll produce it for you. Buy 200 30-second ads by May 15th and get them for less than $10 a piece. It's a big savings, and you don't want to miss it. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com now. I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
After the USDA unveiled its updated roommate food pyramid earlier this week, Department of Agriculture spokesman Michael Lowry spoke to Onion reporters about just how many servings of someone else's food roommates should be consuming on a day-to-day basis.
Under the new guidelines, roommates should eat at least 4 portions of someone else's grains per day, including 1 to 2 cups of already opened cereal. Of course, this is all in addition to the 8 to 16 swigs of milk and orange juice spaced out over a few days.
Lowry emphasized that many aspects of the new roommate food pyramid are unchanged from the previous version, including a recommended daily intake of 24 ounces of lunch meat straight from the bag and 5 to 7 weekly finger scoops of Erica's peanut butter.
Remember to limit your intake of sugar and sweets from half-open containers, especially if they're Jessica's, because she'll definitely notice.
For more on this story, check this week's Onion Review.
This is the Onion News Network.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. We have Skype as well. Skype username here is LRN.FM. And Mark, I want you to tell me about Fort Galt, and then we're going to get right into your phone calls.
Sure. What Fort Galt is it's a project to have that they're going to build a condominium. It's down in Chile, and the idea is that we want to attract a certain type of person, entrepreneurs, their families, people that are interested in being part of a culture of creativity and centered around freedom. They're going to have very small condominium units and lots of communal spaces and these sorts of things, restaurant, coffee shops, things like that, where people can work and communicate with each other and these sorts of things. I think it's a fascinating project, and they're selling these units at prices that people can afford. I mean, $10,000 for their smallest unit. Pretty much, you can do that. You could do that with a small loan from a family member if you have no money at all. And there you go. Go check it out. FortGalt.com. They have much larger units too. You can go see the website. It's fortgalt.com, and the website is beautiful. They've done a really great job putting together the videos, the presentation, the aesthetic of the whole website. You're going to be happy with what you see there. fortgalt.com.
All right, let's continue with your calls and thoughts. You got Ian, Derrick, Jay, and Mark in studio here tonight. Adam in Bridgewater, Massachusetts. You're on Free Talk Live.
Hey guys, what's up? I just wanted to comment on the kid joining the Coast Guard. I was pretty much in his shoes about 11 years ago. I came from a poor family. I ended up joining the Navy right out of high school, and my main motivation was college. And I just kind of wanted to make a few comments on, looking back on it, since it was about 11 years ago. I got out. I did 6 years, got out, went to college. And,
yeah, please do.
I've came to the realization that college isn't really worth it. I'm on my senior year right now, and there's so many different factors to think about. It depends on what job you're doing in the service. If you have one that easily translates into the civilian world,
this is hugely important.
Yeah, I joined the nuclear program, so I have a ton of job opportunities that I'm pretty much done with college. I went for geochemistry and geology with a minor in English, and pretty much all the best job offers I have right now, nobody cares about anything I did in college. They just want me for my job experience.
Interesting.
And I just feel like I kind of wasted 4 years going to college, even though a lot of people going to college aren't going for STEM hardcore like I did. And it just seemed
now,
like
wait, you went to Coast Guard for, was it 6 years?
No, it was Navy.
Oh, Navy. I'm sorry. Navy for 6 years?
Yes.
So you stayed longer. Why did you have to? Yeah, why did you have to go for 6 instead of 4? Isn't 4 the standard?
Well, everybody goes for 8.
Oh, really?
But it depends on how long you're going to be on inactive ready reserve.
Sorry, go ahead, Adam.
The standard is 4, but since I was joining the nuclear program, the schooling was 2 years long, so I had to sign a 24-month extension. And pretty much that school plus the experience is pretty much the most in-demand thing that employers want working in the technical industry. I was an electrician as well, so I pretty much worked on a nuclear power plant for 4 years after my schooling as an electrician's mate, and they could care less about my 4-year geochemistry and geology degree.
Right, yeah, I think that this is what people need to know if they are joining the military and they don't have the same, for whatever reason, they can toss away whatever my morals are on the subject. At the very least, if you're going to go in there, don't go and sit in a hole someplace, holding a shooty stick, because it doesn't translate to any value when you get out, other than perhaps being a mercenary. And you're going to have to be very good because there's a lot of people competing for those jobs as mercenaries in organizations like Blackwater and these sorts of things, or Z. So what you need to do is get into something that they're at the very least going to teach you how to do something that's marketable.
So wait, are you saying, Adam, just to be clear, that you feel like the nuclear training that you received in the military and the Navy was worth your time, but then the later college degree seeking was not?
Correct. In that, I guess the people that came out of the military from my profession or my rate, they made a really good name for themselves in the civilian world. So it's like a highly sought after, veteran status. Whereas on the other end of the spectrum, you have people who are torpedo men. And who's going to hire you to shoot torpedoes in the civilian world? So those guys kind of need to go to college. But whatever I talk to people in college that are thinking about joining the military, I always do recommend the Coast Guard because of all the different people I've met in the military of all different branches, the people in the Coast Guard were the ones who actually enjoyed their life. Like, people in the Navy were miserable. My department was the most miserable department on the ship. We were like the most overworked and undermanned department, supporting 2 reactors for my aircraft carrier. And I was on the most over-deployed aircraft carrier in the fleet, and everyone was just miserable. It was rampant with alcoholism. And the only shining light of it.
Is it possible that because you weren't in the Coast Guard, you didn't see those things? Meaning that, you spent most of your time with the Navy, so...
The Coast Guard's basically a job. You mostly just show up and do your thing and then go home. It's very similar. Whereas the military, you're housed there with them all the time. That's
really?
a difference.
I didn't know that the Coast Guard wasn't housing you.
Well, we would go on, I went on 4 or 6 month deployments. I guess the biggest benefit was travel, and I got to meet a lot of people all over the world. I've been all over Southeast Asia. I'm originally from New Hampshire. I graduated out of Nashua High, and I ended up getting stationed in San Diego, and I've been to all these exotic places in the South Pacific.
Adam, thanks for calling to share your experience. I appreciate it. Saying basically that college was a waste of time, but he felt like getting a very area-specific set of training in the military wasn't so much a waste. Personally, I wouldn't want to join the military because I wouldn't want to be told what to do. I bristle at that kind of experience. And also, I don't like the idea of supporting killing, which is ultimately what most military roles at some level are doing.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into a job where go on the outset when I know what the job description is. I don't believe I can fulfill some of the job. If I'm going to agree to do a job, then I'm going to be able to fulfill that. In the case of Coast Guard, I told the story, and I think it bears a little bit of repeating. A caller here, some guy that we know, was a member of the Coast Guard. He had to hold a gun on a guy who was trying to escape from Cuba, and I guess he was a dissident of some acclaim. And if the dissident had somehow gotten 5 feet from where he was standing into the interior of the ship, he had to pass through this doorway. If he passed through that doorway, he would have been free.
But instead, they sent him back to Cuba, where he could be murdered by the government.
He probably was going to be murdered by the government. I think that's what actually happened. So the guy, had to stand there with a gun, with at the very least threatening to shoot this man if he didn't do it. And if I wasn't willing to shoot a man who simply wanted to be free in the chest, kill him, ruining his life and the lives of his family around him, if I wasn't willing to do that simply because, somebody who has a flag flying behind him told me to, then I shouldn't take that job.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I don't think anybody should take jobs like that. But we're not in that world yet.
Not yet, no.
But it does take...
It's really alluring. That's, that money from the military... I get why you would want that to go to college.
There's a lot that's alluring, right? Like they're supposed to get all the women from having the uniform, and that the excitement and the adventure of going out there busting those criminals. There's a certain person to whom that is very attractive out there. And, we can't expect all those people are going to just disappear overnight. But if you are thinking about joining these organizations that are based in violence, then... and at the same time you claim to hold beliefs that don't support that kind of violence, then I really think you need to find some other way to achieve your goals in life. I mean, there's a certain level at which you shouldn't compromise yourself. Toll-free number tonight is 855-450-FREE. Any other thoughts on that, gentlemen, or should we talk about Liberland?
Well, we haven't addressed glory, really. Glory is one of the reasons I think people join the military. When my grandfather told me stories about World War II, it seemed glamorous. They were fighting Nazis, and it's like, you want to tell your grandchildren about how you were a hero.
Save the world.
Right, but there is no glory in war, and it's all a lie, and it's been that way forever.
You can share.
The Nazis that they killed were really people who, in many cases, just Germans. They were doing,
they had families too.
They were just doing the patriotic thing.
All right, 855-450-FREE. You can come share your thoughts here on the radio waves. You can also join us via Skype at lrn.fm as we continue with more Free Talk Live coming up.
Warning: if you've recently declared bankruptcy, you're going to want to change the station. Because there's an alternative to bankruptcy, and it's faster than you'd ever think possible. But if you've already declared bankruptcy and have missed this opportunity, you'll want to change the station now. Here it is. Right now, the company that has resolved more credit card debt than anyone in the U.S. is available to settle your debt too. You may reduce your debt with one low monthly program payment. If you call right now, Freedom Debt Relief will show you how low your monthly program payment could be for free. Call now. 1-800-399-1993. That's 1-800-399-1993. If you're struggling with debt, this could be your answer. And the bigger your debt, the more money you could save. To find out for free how much of your hard-earned money Freedom Debt Relief could help you save, call now. 1-800-399-1993. 1-800-399-1993. 1-800-399-1993.
If the IRS has garnished your paycheck or seized money from your bank account, you need to get professional tax help now. Fast action is required to put a halt to these aggressive IRS collection tactics. You can count on the knowledgeable team of tax professionals at Wall & Associates. With over 30 years of experience, Wall & Associates has settled the tax problems of thousands of taxpayers for a small fraction of what they owed. For a free face-to-face consultation, call 1-800-425-4610 to put a wall between you and the IRS. 1-800-425-4610 or look for us on the web at wallandassociates.net. We solve tax problems. If you hire Wall & Associates today, you'll never have to talk to the IRS again. To stop the levies and seizures today, take action now. Call Wall & Associates at 1-800-425-4610. Wall & Associates, 1-800-425-4610. Based on actual cases, results may vary, not a solicitation for legal services.
What if the key to achieving liberty in your lifetime was to move together with others who think like you? Liberty activists are joining the Free State Project, which is over 70% of the way to its goal of 20,000 participants. And they're already making the move to New Hampshire. The successes are piling up and are proving the Free State Project is a real movement and no longer just a great idea. When you're planning your move, consider Keene. Keene is famous for its civil disobedience and non-cooperation, and there's plenty of political opportunity as well. From demonstrations and vigils to outreach and volunteering, there's a lot going on in Keene. Keene is the liberty media capital of the world, with television, talk radio, and more, all originating here. Though it's more than just activism, with regular social events each week. See what's happening at freekeene.com and get connected with video, audio, free books, a forum, and activist tools you can download and use in your area at freekeene.com. That's freekeene.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's post pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that tenth of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross may be spending the rest of his life in prison. His family is planning to appeal his conviction, but they need your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Ross needs your help now more than ever. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. Join us here toll free at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got a lot of features available on our website, and they're totally free. If you want to support the show, however, you can do that by shopping with us. Just go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Free Talk Live will get a cut of your purchase when you buy through Amazon. There's Amazon Canada, US, and UK. You just click into the right Amazon for you and get your shopping taken care of. Free Talk Live benefits. So once again, go to shop.freetalklive.com. So Liberland, we teased this at the beginning of the show, and Mark, you and Derrick J. both wanted to talk about this. Derrick, I believe you have the story about the founder or president, I guess self-named president of Liberland. He's been arrested.
That's right. And there have been many news outlets around the world that have covered this story, including Fox News here in the U.S.
Yeah, they got a huge explosion of press coverage when they put out their initial press release announcing the idea of sort of sticking a claim to this 7-kilometer square plot of land between Croatia and Serbia.
Yeah,
it is
about 2.5 square acres. I don't know what kilometers are like.
No, really? I don't know that. I guess I don't know the difference between
it's
kilometers and acres.
That's why I brought up acres.
Okay.
So yeah, it's about 2.5 acres. 2.5 square miles. I misspoke. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
I wanted to say.
I feel like an acre is a lot smaller.
It
than
is
a mile.
way smaller. Yeah. No,
Okay.
I misspoke.
Okay, good.
But I wanted to clarify for people who use miles.
But this is supposedly unoccupied, unclaimed territory. At
It's
least that
still
was the
really
idea.
small, though. Yeah, it's like a no man's land between Serbia and Croatia. And
in a lot of ways, if they were able to make it work, it would be worth it if it was only the size of a postage stamp. If they could give out citizenships and passports and a variety of things. There's many documents that governments give out, marriage licenses. The governments are these document-producing organizations in many ways.
Pretty much.
And as long as they were able to pull this off, then it would be worth it just to be a citizen of Liberland so that, yeah, sure, you don't have to pay any taxes to us. Just here's your documentation, whatever.
Great. I would like that. Well, anyway, I mentioned that there are news agencies around the world that cover this story. I prefer mine from RT because, I don't know. It's not like the Russian government is more honest, but they get an outside perspective from the U.S. And I think
they're not afraid to be critical of other governments.
Well, just to give an example, the difference in headlines between these two stories. Fox News says, Liberland president arrested by Croatia for trespassing in no man's land, whereas RT presents the story as president of self-proclaimed Liberland arrested for trying to cross into own country. So it actually recognizes that it is his own country. And so the story goes like this. The utopian country of Liberland is facing legal hurdles mere weeks after being founded. The leader of the aspiring microstate was detained by Croatian border police. Both the Croats and Serbs are unhappy over lingering border issues. 31-year-old Ček Vitjedlika, I am not sure I'm pronouncing
like a
that
decent
correctly,
shot at
but
it.
I'm trying, was trying to access his newfound country on foot when he was seized by patrols, then transferred to a jail in Beli Manastir, eastern Croatia, according to Croatia's broadcaster. The same report was run by the so-called Liberland Press Agency. So they've got their own news outlet.
Great.
Well, there's a lot of people that got really excited in Liberland.
Yeah, what did they get? 30,000 citizenship requests within the first week or
I think
something
the number
like that?
was even higher after, like the first story, it was incredible, and then the numbers just kept going after that. It just sounds like a pipe dream to me. I mean, this
You got to have big dreamers, though. I mean, people have to.
It's a piece of swampland. You better build your house so it floats if you're going to live
Is
there.
it swamp, really?
It's the tidal area between the Danube where it moves back and forth.
Oh.
I mean,
Interesting.
Yeah. It is kind of woodsy. They have a
There's
graphic.
one building.
Well, they have a graphic of what could be in Liberland, and they've got their artists rendering of huge sky rises and skyscrapers that.
They're selling the sizzle. And remember, the Free State Project really went that first 5,000 people before they picked an actual place, and people had to actually say, yes, I will pick up and move my life to the state of New Hampshire 5 years from when you reach your window. That first 5,000 people who didn't have to promise a particular state, they're like, yes, this will be awesome. We'll all move to the same state and we'll have a lot of success. Well, this is still sort of in the highly theoretical. I mean, there's nobody living there. No one has moved. It's just people online coming up with pictures and imagining
well,
things.
You've got
and
to
writing
imagine
stuff.
it before it can be real.
It's true.
Right?
I think they might have more Facebook likes than the Free State Project, though. They've got about
wouldn't surprise me.
150,000.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Speaking of Facebook, a Facebook post on the official page accompanied the story about this arrest with the words, quote, "Just note it was more friendly meeting than arrest." I don't believe that because jail was involved.
Right. They use the word detain in the article, but that can mean different things to different people.
And
it sounds to me
arrest.
like that sounds to me like he was taken into custody and taken into a jail. Not that he just went down to hang out with them at the jail for a chit chat.
Well, here's what the Facebook post earlier said. Apparently, quote, the president had a very beneficial meeting with 8 ambassadors and with the personnel of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Zagreb, Croatia. The people involved in the meetings disclosed to him that Liberland has quite a chance of success if it is based on the love and freedom ideas that it purports to be. The president invited the ambassadors to a party in Liberland next weekend.
A camping party?
I don't know what kind of party. Hopefully,
shoot, if a bunch of people think that a bunch of government bureaucrats think they can get Liberland turned into a real country, and that gives it all the benefits of a real country, I'll help with that party.
Something must have been lost in translation about the party invitation, because in the evening of that same very day, the president was detained by the Croatian police without having crossed the border from Croatia to Liberland.
Does that mean there's a presence of police near the border point here?
There is now.
I guess so.
Now that they've declared themselves a new country, yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
that
I'm
is
just
weird.
speculating, Mark, but I'm just curious.
Calling it a border and having border police there in Croatia suggests that Liberland is a real thing, because otherwise they would just be regular military people, right?
I don't know.
You wouldn't call them border police if it isn't a border, right? If Croatia's like, hey, this is our land.
But they aren't saying that, right? So, I mean, this is unclaimed land, is it not? There's not one country besides Liberland that claims...
But you can't be arrested for trespassing and not claim it's your land. So,
yeah, well, right. Was he charged with something? That's something I'm not real clear on, because it said that he was taken into some sort of a jail facility.
There's more.
Okay.
The next paragraph reads that Jedlica was released, quote, after a very friendly meeting with the police and a judge in the town of Beli Manastir, Croatia. The president feels that there is a great degree of support from the Croatian police. Really? You are arrested. And judiciary, and sees the arrest as a means for starting the talks with the Croatian side about opening a border crossing between Croatia and Liberland. So maybe it was more like, I mean, I don't speak these languages, but maybe it was more like, hey, Joe, come on over here. We need to talk to you. And, they sort of picked him up and brought him to a place, maybe kind of against his will, but they were nice about it.
But a judge was involved, right?
Yeah.
You know, you don't go see it. Now, look, I don't know what the Croatian legal system is like, but it may have some sort of semblance to a Western legal system in that if you're in front of a judge, you're probably facing some sort of a criminal charge. or at the very least, you need that judge to drop the criminal charge and set you free. I mean, so it would be interesting to know more about what the technicalities were surrounding. I mean, because it sounds like he's whitewashing this, and I understand he
would want to downplay it, right?
Yeah.
If you want people to move here, you want to say everything's fine, nothing is going wrong.
I don't think people are actually going to move. They really
why
couldn't.
wouldn't they?
They can't.
Why not?
There's nothing there.
Well, somebody will go build things.
I've seen pictures of people holding a flag. There are people there.
Isn't there a forest there? They can chop some trees down, and
they're going to go to jail too.
All right. Well, according to the Liberland Twitter page, this says, good news. President of Liberland, Vit Jedlicka, was released a few hours ago. This was yesterday. We will inform you with more detail in a while. So they're estimating up 3 square mile patch of land situated on the Danube, thank you, between the Serbian and Croatian borders has widely been called unclaimed, owing its problematic status after the redrawing of national borders in the aftermath of the Balkan Wars in the early 1990s. Wow, that's been going on a long time. But neither country considers it so, and there is still discussion to be had over the territory.
Wait,
so
neither country considers it to be claimed?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what it sounds like.
I mean, it's really shocking that places like that would still exist, because it seems like countries...
It's been 20 years.
Yeah, it seems like these nation states love adding property. I mean, so why they wouldn't be fighting over this property really suggests it's particularly undesirable. But there have been habitable places that have been made out of some very undesirable locations.
Like Manhattan.
Vegas. 855 450
Hong Kong.
free. There's more coming up here in moments. You can share your thoughts on Liberland and the arrest. It's Free Talk Live.
Are you searching for your soulmate? Someone you can trust, who will never betray you or cooperate with the NSA? Stop searching. With EasyDNS, you found a keeper. EasyDNS does it all. Domain names, web hosting, and managed WordPress hosting. EasyDNS stands up for your internet freedom, and with servers in Canada, they do not cooperate with the NSA. Go to EasyDNS.com. You'll love their services or get a full refund. They guarantee it. And they accept Bitcoin. That's EasyDNS.com.
New Hampshire is under quarantine as walking corpses devour the flesh of the living. Max is 11 years old and surviving alone. Slow-moving and non-thinking, the dead swarm his home. Now he must apply his Porcupine Freedom Scouts training to improvise his escape. Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, or read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
LRN.FM needs your help getting our satellite signal back on in Africa. Our satellite provider had us on at no charge from 2012 through February of this year when they pulled the channel off the air. Now we're trying to raise $22,000 to continue reaching people with the message of liberty in places where it's needed most. Please visit our Indiegogo fundraiser at africa.lrn.fm. Give what you can and share the link with your friends. africa.lrn.fm. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Monday, May 11th, 2015. Silver is trading at $16.51 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,191 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $242. Antiwar.com reports suicide bombers from al-Qaeda's Nusra Front are leading an assault on the hospital complex in the northwestern Syrian town of Jisr al-Shughur, trying to force their way into the last government-held building in a town they took weeks ago. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights reported that around 250 people, some soldiers and some civilians who took shelter there during the fall of the town, have been held up in the hospital for 2 weeks. A suicide car bomber hit the building yesterday, setting the stage for a new siege on the building and trying to force their way in. Nusra forces have continued to secure the rest of the town and the surrounding area with little effort. Syrian military forces have been trying to push their way back into the Idlib province, and President Assad insisted that there would be an effort to rescue the people trapped in the hospital. So far, however, they appear far from putting a new siege to Jisr al-Shughur. For over 35 years, Roberts & Roberts has been a trusted source for buying and selling your investment-grade precious metals. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and permanently removed the minimum purchase order for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on investing and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 850-478-5270 or online at rrbi.co. UPI reports AeroMobile, the company trying to release the first flying car, recently crashed its prototype during a test flight in Slovakia. Stefan Klein, co-founder of the company, was piloting the car when he experienced an unexpected situation, according to a statement. He was 900 feet in the air and was able to deploy a parachute to prevent the crash from being catastrophic. Klein did not suffer any major injuries, and the company is analyzing data from the car to figure out exactly what happened. The statement says, in part, it is necessary to test the prototype in every way possible to establish its limits and to improve on them. The flight recording details will help us learn from the data and improve the performance of the vehicle prior to our next flight test. The company recently announced it intends to begin working on self-flying cars. Coinbase is a simple and secure online Bitcoin wallet for sending, receiving, and storing Bitcoin. Coinbase also allows you to buy and sell Bitcoin using a bank account or use their tools to accept Bitcoin as a merchant. All of your funds on Coinbase are safe, with approximately 90% of customer funds being stored offline, and all wallets are stored using AES 256 encryption. Get started at coinbase.fppradio.com. Reuters reports Polish President Bronislaw Komorowski finished a surprise second behind his conservative opponent in the first round of a presidential election on Sunday and must now face him in a runoff. Being forced into another round later this month pointed to voter disenchantment, an alarming prospect for Komorowski's allies in the Polish government, who hope to win a record third term in office in a parliamentary election later this year. Andrzej Duda, the winning candidate, said late on Sunday the result should be seen as a serious warning for the whole broadly defined governing camp. The exit poll by Ipsos put Komorowski at 32.2% of the vote and projected 34.8% for Duda, who is running for the conservative Law and Justice opposition party. Opinion polls before Sunday showed the incumbent with a comfortable lead. The exit poll showed Paweł Kukiz, a rock musician, was third with 20.3% of the vote. The outcome of the runoff is likely to hinge on which candidate wins over the most Kukiz voters. He has endorsed allies of Komorowski in past elections. Komorowski, addressing supporters who gathered in the National Stadium in Warsaw to celebrate what they had expected would be a victory, said he would try to reconnect with voters disappointed with their rulers. Komorowski said, "Let's not have any illusions. We face hard work, a hard fight, but I am convinced that we are also facing victory." In Poland, Eastern Europe's biggest economy, the prime minister has the most power, but the president wields clout as the head of the armed forces, has a say in foreign policy, and the power to veto legislation. The presidential election is a dress rehearsal for the parliamentary vote, when the center-right Civic Platform Party will face a strong challenge from Law and Justice. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Today's fitness trackers can tell how far you're running, but tomorrow's can tell you why you're running. The new Nike Run Logic Plus pinpoints the desperate psychological demons at the root of your exercise routine. Tech Trends reporter Aaron Vaughn has more.
It's a problem all runners face. You run and you run and you run, but it's never enough. No matter how many miles you put in, that gnawing ache at your soul never goes away. Now Nike's engineers have found a way for runners to use that existential pain to push themselves even farther. Users keep the device on their wrist at all times. It not only records running times and distances, it also analyzes all of the user's social interactions and emotional patterns. It then creates a unique, detailed profile that dredges the inspiring well of inner turmoil inside every runner. Early users say they notice a big impact on their workouts.
I started marathoning when I was 28. I thought it was time to get in shape, but then once I realized I was actually running from my meaningless job in ad sales, I started running a lot more, like all the time.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live. You may join us here on the radio waves, toll free at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Or join us via Skype at Skype username LRN.FM. Joining you in studio tonight, you've got me, Ian,
Derrick J,
and Mark.
And don't forget to get more of Derrick J over on his website, thederrickj.com. What's up there right now, Derrick J?
Oh, nothing. Actually,
Nothing.
soon,
You've got a bunch of stuff on your website.
Yeah, soon I'll be posting last night's episode of The Fiends, which was groundbreaking,
yeah, it
where
was.
Chris Cantwell explained why he pulled a gun in Keene, New Hampshire.
That was so crazy, that situation. The video is going viral as we speak. It's up over at ChristopherCantwell.com. But what was so groundbreaking about the episode of Freedom Fiends last night was that Chris Cantwell was on as a Freedom Fiend co-host for the first time ever, and he and Michael
And never. That's never going to happen again. Michael's already assured us. Yeah.
Oh, well. It was nice. I mean, it was really cool. Like, I went out to this rave last night, which was this wonderful experience, and then I come home at 2:50 in the morning or whatever and walk in, and I see Chris Cantwell hosting the Freedom Fiend. I just thought, oh, it's such a nice way to end this night because, you know, he and Michael Dean
It's been a long feud.
Yeah, they've been at it for quite a while, and I guess, you know, this isn't going to end the feud, but it was an olive branch, I think, to some extent, at some level.
Yeah, I think it's nice when people can see each other doing things that they both respect, you know? Not everyone is a 100% villain.
Yeah, so anyway, the toll-free number here tonight is 855-450-FREE. We were talking about Liberland moments ago, and also had some discussion about the Coast Guard and joining the military and going to college. All those things you're welcome to comment on anytime you want at 855-450-FREE. But Liberland, I mean, maybe, I don't know how closely you guys have been following it. I haven't been, so I didn't know. Maybe I'd heard a mention of him being arrested, but the president of Liberland has been arrested while attempting to cross into the territory known as Liberland. This is a very small plot of land, about, what did you say, 3 square miles?
Yeah.
About 3 miles square, that is between both Croatia and Serbia, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so he has been arrested. He was taken to a jail facility. There was a judge involved. This is what we've discerned so far from the news story over at Russia Today, RT.com. But he's downplaying this in the official Liberland press release about this. He's certainly admitting to the detention. But did he use the term arrest? I'm curious. I don't know if you still have that post from Liberland pulled up where you were reading what he actually said, the sort of whitewashed propaganda version of what happened.
Yeah, his quote was, "Just a note, it was more friendly meeting than arrest." So, I mean, I've had arrests that were pretty friendly.
Sure.
But they're still arrests.
Yeah, you can't take away the fact that they are taking you away from your freedom. You wanted to go into Liberland, and a group of men came with guns and said, "Come with us." And then they had a nice chat with you when you were in their custody. But what would have happened if you'd said, "No, I'm not going to come with you. I have business to attend to. I've got some trees to go cut down in Liberland so we can build our first log cabin," or whatever it is that's going to happen out there. And they took him away from that freedom. And being nice about it certainly is better than having your teeth crushed on the, in a curb stomp or something like that. So, on the level of how the police could treat you, at least they didn't stab him and leave him in the forest like they did with some of the ladies from Femin in Russia. And, so things could be worse. And I can can appreciate appreciating the fact that you weren't harmed in a more direct manner, but you were harmed by virtue of the fact that you were kidnapped.
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to help him. So he's trying to play diplomat here, right? He's the so-called president of this new country, and so presumably he's going to have to deal with more bureaucrats, and he wants to put on a good face with these people. He's not going to say, I was roughhoused by the police, and, what's that going to do for him down the road?
That's true.
So...
Was there more from the story?
There is, yeah. So we were just getting finished saying that neither country, Serbia nor Croatia, really considers it their territory, but now it's apparently upsetting them that
now it's both of their territory.
Yeah. So it says that was never a problem for the self-proclaimed Republic of Liberland's president, who has gathered around himself people of all walks of life and professional backgrounds to help set up a working country that wishes to be a tolerant, utopian paradise.
Is this the press release or the RT?
This is RT.
Okay.
With little market... Oh dear. Yes, with little market control.
Refresh.
Yes, and
I love
even
that.
fewer laws. But for over a week now, and just days before the so-called free... I hate that they call it so-called. I mean, just go with it, right? That's what they're calling it. Free Republic of Liberland was to be populated. Both the Serbs and Croats have been blocking the Czechs, Swiss, Danes, and others from trying to reach the heavily forested area to set up lives there.
So
trying
everybody's
to
getting
move
stopped.
Whoa. Okay, that's... I realize that we're now like more than halfway through this article, likely, but that's to me one of the biggest pieces of news.
Yeah, that he's not the only one who's been stopped. There have been lots of other people trying to get in.
Whoa, that's pretty serious.
So after repeated attempts by Jedlica's followers to reach the area, the Croats deployed patrol guards and motorboats, and the Serbs did the same.
Wow.
They're both upset. Hey, wait, you can't have that territory neither of us wanted. Now we want it.
Well, it's like, when something's claimed, it's more of a challenge, right? I've heard rumor that some women, for instance, will target married men. They see the ring on their finger, and it's like a challenge to see if they can
No, it's not a
conquer
challenge. It means they can commit. But then it's...
But they want to...
It's antithetical if you want to...
They want to go after him to get him to cheat on his wife, is the idea.
So
like, they see the ring...
committed.
Anyway, it's more of a score if they win it. And so now all of a sudden somebody's interested in this uninteresting territory because someone else was interested.
I guess that is like sort of a part of human nature. I remember seeing even in like elementary school or children in nurseries where a kid is playing with some block or something that previously the kids around him weren't interested in. But now that someone's playing with it, I want that block. I want to play with that toy. So the group of settlers proclaimed the parcel of land an independent country sometime in early April. Now it appears they have an issue with more things than just national recognition.
Boy, I'll say so. Where's the video? I mean, how many people?
Good point.
How many people have gone up and attempted to get into this place? They listed what, 3 or 4 different countries.
Yeah.
So presumably, let's just presume at least 3 or 4 different people, if not 8 or so, a dozen people have gone and tried to get in. Why hasn't there been a single video? And maybe there is. Maybe it's on the Liberland Facebook page, and I just haven't seen it.
No, it's not. I've been on the Liberland Facebook page. I'm not seeing these videos.
That would seem to be the best place to post
guys.
it.
What a great point. I mean, duh, it's 2015. Everyone, presumably in Czech, it's similar to the U.S. Like, people have smartphones.
Yeah,
Go
right.
record. You're not prevented from having video cameras. I know they had them in the 1990s.
Right, even if you don't have a smartphone, video cameras cost next to nothing. I mean, if you can afford a train ticket or a plane ticket to go and try to fly into Liberland and then fly into Croatia or whatever and cross into Liberland, you can probably afford to have a little $200 camcorder.
Serbian and Croatian legal experts are shaking their heads at the bold attempt to found a country on land that no one really forgot about. Quote, "It's legally senseless that someone sticks a flag on a disputed territory and declares it an independent state," says one professor at Belgrade University.
Well, he's now calling it disputed. And that hasn't been said in the news items, and that's what's sort of difficult is that if a country says this is my area and another country says this is my area, and they're in between there's this little dot that apparently nobody's saying is their area.
They are now, though, apparently.
Yeah.
I guess that's one of the things that's changed. at least from our understanding of this. I mean, maybe the president, if you will, what's his name, Jedlicka? Maybe the president in this case didn't really do enough research on this plot of land and thought it was unclaimed, but in point of fact, it always was claimed, and now that he's staked his claim there, then...
No, it couldn't have been claimed because both the Serbs and the Croats are going after this piece of land, so they're still disputing it. It sounds like it's exactly what we predicted
the whole time.
Yeah,
because he was saying it wasn't. He was saying this was undisputed, unclaimed land, right? Like, that was why they claimed Liberland supposedly in the first place, was that it was supposedly, oh, we don't want that piece of junk.
I can tell you after this news story that the UN's going to get all the governments together and say, all right, let's make sure we got our maps in order here. There's no more undisputed land, okay? Let's just get these lines in, or at least unclaimed.
Well, I want to
hear
hear more
dispute, but it can't be unclaimed.
I want to hear more. I think there's more of these legal experts or whatever. We'll come back 855 450 free, and you can also take control here on Free Talk Live.
Going back to the my victim saying, you cost me a lot of misery, and all total, $2,700 in doggy fees, and all it took was one container of Dynavite, 2 pounds, 3 ounces, and my dog has been cured. Abby's a 5-year-old Silky Terrier. She had, like, chicken pox on her belly, clusters of bumps on her back, and she was allergic to, like, 70-some-odd things. So the dermatologist, it was, oh, yeah, just keep giving her needles every 10 days. But she's not clearing up. And then it came up on my radio, Dynavite. DINOVITE.com.
859-428-1000.
And I was like, oh, that's it. I give her the Dynavite after 5 weeks. And one morning there was nothing there. And I'm like, oh, my God, she's all clear. There wasn't one blemish on her body. Her fur is beautiful. She is totally happy. She is a healthy, bump-free, pimple-free, shiny, silky. It turned our lives around. So thank you very much for Dynavite. I couldn't be happier. Dynavite's the bomb.
859-428-1000. 859-428-1000. DINOVITE.com.
Making the right decisions is a challenge to investors. Are we going to see economic growth, slide into a recession, or at worst, depression? Hi, Ted Anderson from Midas Resources. We all know when a company acts irresponsibly, divesting ourselves in a move towards safety is prudent. When the market becomes volatile, U.S. Treasuries are a safe haven. But what do you do when the U.S. government overextends itself and spends beyond its means? Many investors are turning toward gold as a common-sense alternative to traditional paper investments. Midas Resources has put together a powerful book titled 10 Reasons to Own Gold, discussing costs, benefits, risks, featuring full-color illustrations, weights, and measures. The book is free and can be yours by calling 800-686-2237. Paper investments are dwarfed by gold's 6,000-year history. Discover how gold may be right for you and your IRA by calling 800-686-2237. Whether buying or it's time for you to sell, the book is free. Call 800-686-2237.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's FFF at FFF.org.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live, you may join us here on the radio waves. We'll continue with more discussion about Liberland here in a moment. 855-450-FREE is the toll-free number. We've got Skype as well at Skype username LRN.FM.
I'm going to Freedom Fest this July. It's from the 8th to the 11th at Planet Hollywood in Las Vegas. It's going to be a great event. It's the largest collection of Liberty-type folks in one place. This is the biggest Liberty event in the world. And this year, it's called Discover the New American Dream. And this year, I would say, is probably going to be the biggest Freedom Fest yet. There's going to be the historic Paul Krugman and Steve Moore debate. So Krugman is the New York Times columnist and Nobel Prize-winning economist. Steve Moore is the Wall Street Journal columnist and chief economist for the Heritage Foundation. They're going to debate austerity versus stimulus, red state versus blue state, flat tax versus progressive tax. This is the Super Bowl of sort of economic debates, and I'm pretty excited about it. Am I allowed to say Super Bowl? The big game. Lots of folks like Peter Thiel, Steve Forbes, John Mackey, they're going to be on site.
That's the guy from Whole Foods.
Yep, guy from Whole Foods.
He's a libertarian.
Grover Norquist, Congressman Alan West, George Gilder, John Allison.
Not all libertarians will be attending Freedom Fest, but it's
Freedom Fest is it's also for types that are interested in economics. So since libertarians tend to be fiscally conservative, economically conservative, there'll be some people that agree with sort of the economic conservative aspect. Yeah. It's a much more big tent kind of group, but very interesting nonetheless.
You've been there a couple times.
I think just once.
Okay.
I only remember going once.
Maybe just once.
Yeah. But it's a great event. Go check it out. freedomfest.com. When you sign up, please make sure that you click you heard it on the radio, because that's how they'll know that it was Free Talk Live.
Nice.
I guess we're their only radio advertising. It's at freedomfest.com. If you call them, and I'm going to give you a number here in a second, be sure to mention Free Talk Live. And, please come out and hang out with me. It's going to be a lot of fun. freedomfest.com, 855-850-FREE. That's their number, is 855-850-FREE for Freedom Fest.
All right, let's go to Pizza Guy. He's in Fargo, North Dakota. We'll come back with more on Liberland here in a moment. Pizza Guy, you're on Free Talk Live.
Well, I wanted to run some real situation by you and gauge how you feel about it.
Okay.
Currently, all right, so I'll get it out, and then you can tell me how you feel about it. The current Republican frontrunner, who is endorsed by Judge Andrew Napolitano and Congressman Justin Amash, is going to filibuster the Patriot Act. How does that make you feel?
I like it.
You're talking about Rand Paul?
I don't know what a filibuster is.
It's where they talk, right, for a long time?
It's only in the Senate, and it's one of these idiosyncrasies of the Senate. They're able to essentially, as long as they used to have to declare it, but I think they stopped the declared filibuster thing. So it's just like, we're filibustering, rather than having to have somebody in there talking the whole time. But now you have to talk. And if you're going to do, as a congressman, if it's not going to be a party, as a senator, if it's not going to be a party filibustering, you're really going to have to just get up there and talk.
Isn't that where the whole Stand with Rand thing started coming from? Because as long as he was standing, he got to talk.
That's correct.
That's cute.
So the idea behind a filibuster, as I understand it, is to simply delay something from happening, right? Is that it? Because you can't talk
it brings
forever.
attention to it. Nobody likes the Patriot Act.
Okay.
Yeah.
Isn't it over, though? I mean, I thought the Patriot This was already
it's up for renewal.
It's reauthorized all the time.
Oh, okay.
And every time it sails through with flying colors. And so this is kind of my point, is to show that he's impure, but by calling this political power about him, I mean, that's how he was able, by compromising, he was able to get in the Senate. And by
Well,
compromising,
good for him. I think that's fantastic if that's what he wants to do with himself. But I will not get behind people who compromise their principles when they're running for election. I've got a limited amount of funds and a limited amount of time, and I'm willing to spend those funds and that time on things that I think are worthwhile. And I don't think that Rand Paul's worthwhile. He doesn't do anything for me. You can point out things that are good.
Filibustering the Patriot Act doesn't do anything for you?
Not a damn thing.
Okay.
What's it going to do for me? Is it going to stop the Patriot Act? No,
I don't know. It might.
It's not. It's going to delay it, right? It's just going to make it so, it delays the vote until until he's done talking. Isn't that how it works?
You sound desperate in your desire to continue on with what you're saying here.
I don't know what you're talking about.
What you're always doing is looking at the face mechanics of a situation and missing the actual implications. When there's a filibuster, it becomes a large, huge news item, and that itself has effect.
Good for him.
So it's the
I can support what he does on an individual basis, but I don't have to support the man for his election campaign because that costs money and time. And like I said, with my limited resources, I'd rather spend that money and time here in New Hampshire on things that can actually make a difference where I live. I was willing to give money to Ron Paul's campaign because I felt Ron Paul was bringing a principled message of freedom, pretty damn principled message. You can nitpick a few things, but not like his son, which is you can nitpick all over the place and big picks on his son. But I thought that Ron Paul was doing something very important, getting on stage and talking about legalizing heroin in front of a Republican audience. I thought was a pretty cool moment, and he had a lot of those moments where he said things that you would never hear said in front of a national audience. And to me, I wanted to propagate Ron Paul's message, and so to me that was worth giving him a political contribution in that campaign in 2008 and in 2012. But Rand Paul just doesn't do it for me. He doesn't float my boat, and there's, yeah, great, he's right on a few things. Okay, bravo.
Yeah, Pizza Guy, I think that Ian has a pretty valid point here, which is that Rand Paul to the base, Ron Paul's base. Rand Paul isn't quite as exciting, right? Like I gave an inordinate amount of money to the Ron Paul campaign, more than I probably should have, and didn't feel that great about it once they created the Campaign for Liberty with all the extra funds. I felt like that was an unfair thing to do. But like with Rand, because he doesn't have the same rhetorical style as his father, it doesn't motivate many people the same way. Do you see that?
I'm motivated by the fact that Rand Paul has accomplished politically more than his father ever did in 20, 30 some odd years of Congress. There's
agree.
Education, which is important, but then there's actual moving of the ball down the field.
What do political accomplishments look like, Pizza Guy?
A repeal of the Patriot Act.
That hasn't happened.
It seems like it's about to.
You don't get to say he's made all these political accomplishments and then give an example of something that hasn't happened yet.
He's the Republican frontrunner at this point, and I think
Good
that
for him.
in and of itself is an accomplishment.
It's meaningless at this point in the presidential election. There's always some new poll and some new person entering the race, and those polls always change. Sorry, Derrick, go ahead.
Being a candidate is not having accomplished something. I'd like an example of something that Rand Paul has accomplished that you are happy about.
Yeah, I got nothing off the top of my head.
Got nothing. Thanks for the call tonight. Wow,
he's so impressive.
855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-FREE. But he has power, Derrick J. We should get behind him because he successfully grasped and has power in his hands.
I'm sure he has more than one thing that he can sort of say he was involved with, and they claim he's worked with a lot of people to.
855-450-FREE is the toll-free number here. It's Free Talk Live.
So Mark and I are out at the range shooting our AR-15 rifles built from AR-15 kits from Guns80.com when Dave walks up and he says, "Hey, did you guys hear about Jade Helm? You know, the government doesn't care about the Posse Comitatus Act, and Jade Helm, the troops are going to come and they may come after us and blah, blah, blah." And I'm thinking, oh my God, dude, look. I take a 30-shot magazine, I put it in my AR-15 built from a kit from Guns80.com, I unload it on the target. Jade Helm? I mean, really? Guns80.com, Guns80.com, Guns80.com. Go now.
Attention! Do you owe money to the IRS or have years of unfiled returns? Are you being audited or receiving threatening letters? If the answer is yes, you need help. The IRS can seize your property and assets, impose fines and penalties, garnish your wages, and even go after your bank account. Don't take on the IRS by yourself. Don't let the IRS destroy your life. Take action now. Call our team of experts for a free and confidential initial evaluation. We've helped thousands resolve their tax problems. Let us help you. 800-261-7073. 800-261-7073.
Hi, I'm Montel Williams. Most of you know me as a talk show host, but I'm also an author, actor, single father of 4, a fitness writer, avid snowboarder, and I'm also a medical marijuana patient. Like many of the million people who are living with multiple sclerosis, I'm in pain every single day. And sometimes my nerves are so raw that if you brushed up against me in an elevator, I'd scream. I can't sleep at night from the pain, and sometimes the spasms in my legs are so intense they will wake me up throughout the night. I've tried the strongest prescription medications available, and I'm going to tell you, they do not work. In fact, they leave me in a stupor, and most of the time, it's impossible to even live your life. Now, I've tried medical marijuana, and I'm going to tell you something, it works. If you'd like more information about medical marijuana, you can contact the Marijuana Policy Project at mpp.org or call 1-877-JOIN-MPP.
This is Mark of Free Talk Live. We've been witnessing a meltdown of the economic engine that powers our country. With a printing press tethered to Washington bureaucrats and New York central bankers, how can we trust paper money? For years, I've been buying gold and silver from Midas Resources, and you should too. Call 877-357-9938 for a free book titled 10 Reasons to Own Gold, or go to gold.freetalklive.com. Again, 877-357-9938. 877-357-9938. The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Join us on the radio here, toll free at 855-450-FREE. We got more to say about Liberland coming up here in a moment. The 3-square-mile plot of land between Croatia and Serbia that was supposedly unclaimed, but now that Vit Jedlica has showed up, declared himself the president, and claimed it as Liberland. Apparently, Croatia and Serbia are now both saying that they claim the land, and they've sent out men with guns to guard, and gun boats apparently, or something, some sort of teams to guard the border of Liberland and harass and threaten people who are attempting to try to come there and try to put up a house or a tent or something like that. So we can continue with that discussion. Our toll-free number here tonight is 855-450-FREE. But Liberland is going to need to have a currency, right? So what about Bitcoin? I don't know if Liberland has yet announced if they're going to have any kind of national currency. If not, then presumably people would be using whatever currencies they wanted, and it'd be nice to see Bitcoin as one of those options, given that Bitcoin is an international currency, and Liberland, when and if it does become a thing with people actually living there, will be a very international country, because so far no one's been born, at least that we know of, in this particular plot
Not in the
of land.
recent past.
So
somebody's been born there.
You can go and get Bitcoin right now by going to expresscoin.com. It's fast, safe, easy, and inexpensive. They're a licensed money services business, and they'll also make available to you Litecoin, Dogecoin, and some others. You can go to expresscoin.com, whether you're in the U.S. or Canada. Expresscoin.com, they'll actually let you do it via your smartphone through their app. And you can use coupon code FTL to get up to $40 worth of Bitcoin with no fee at all over at expresscoin.com. Get your cryptocurrency with money order or check. And again, it's expresscoin.com with coupon code FTL. Let's go to Adam in Toronto before we continue with more on Liberland. Adam, you're on Free Talk Live.
Gentlemen, it's been far too long. I love you guys.
Oh, welcome.
I just wanted to quickly sum up. I heard your discussion on the podcast I'm listening to now from last night, and the debate on public school went on for some time. It became quite wordy. I just thought I'd give you a quick soundbite to sum it up for the future. You can learn anything but obedience from anyone but the government. That's pretty much it.
You can learn anything but obedience from anyone but the government. So you learn obedience from the government.
First and foremost, you're learning obedience from the government.
Well, that's how the system was designed by the King of Prussia back in the day. I'm sure you're familiar with the story of the system's origin.
Yep. We've heard it before.
The Prussian school system. Yeah.
Do you? I don't know if that's. I don't. It's not that I disagree with what you're saying. I mean, obviously, there's no disagreeing with what you're saying, but do you think it speaks to people? So many people went to government school. You know, probably more of my generation went to government school even than the current generation. People are moving away from government schools and doing homeschooling, whatever types of homeschooling they're doing, or private schools and stuff like that. People are saying, I want more choices for my children. I don't know if what you're saying there, it'll certainly agree. You know, some people will say, yeah, that's fine. But many people want obedience from their kids. Adam?
That is not a response I was prepared for.
Well, don't they?
That is something to think about. Well, obedience to them, but is the parent as obedient to the government? Would they not want their child to be more free? Perhaps I'm projecting upon people.
Yeah, some parents do want obedience. I mean, some parents value, being a cog in the system and nationalism and things like that.
Yeah, I can tell you my parents value obedience, and they wish I was more obedient to the government.
Well, maybe the government is less efficient at teaching obedience than even a private school could be. Send them to a private military school then.
Adam, thanks for the call tonight. Appreciate it. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE.
What I think is to encapsulate when it comes to government schools is, look, these are the worst schools in their given geographic area. The only thing that's worse than a government school is some other government school. That's the only way you can rate them. Generally, when you're talking about private schools or homeschooling or whatever, you're talking about getting the best education, a better education than you're going to get from a government school. So you're talking about the worst school in a neighborhood, and it's so bad that they have to force us to fund it. That's what you're proposing to send your kid to if you send them to government school. Yes, you may have the good government school, but you're really only ranking it against other government schools. That's all you're really saying. You're not comparing it to what they should be comparing it to is other schools.
And other ways of educating as well, because as we've seen, unschooling and homeschooling are two really, I think, effective ways of educating young people that don't have any of the trappings typically of these either government or public schools in the Prussian school system or whatever. It seems to me that both homeschooling and unschooling are very freeing for children, though I suppose there could be some homeschooling systems that are even less freeing, like even more obedience-oriented than the government schools, but that seems less likely.
I think he's right that you could make a school system that makes kids more obedient, no doubt about it. But
don't they call those military schools or something like that?
Even a homeschool you could do. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that there's plenty of I've seen
have
lots
like
of
a homeschool dictatorship or something.
I've seen lots of homeschools that are a lot like that. Many religious folks do that, and there's a lot of people in the sort of religious community that value the silent, obedient child thing.
Weird. So share your thoughts here. Toll free 855-450-FREE. To go back to what you were saying, Derrick J, about your parents or your mother, was it specifically. I think my mom feels the same way. She doesn't want to see her son go to jail, for instance. And so she is afraid for me, basically, for what the consequences may be of the things that I do. Yeah. And she is afraid of that because she loves me and she cares about me as my mother. But unfortunately, what she advocates as a result of that is to keep your head down and to, not speak out of turn and be obedient. So it's because of her fear is where she's coming from on that.
Right, but it's too soul-crushing. I mean, I couldn't just comply or keep my head down just to have an easier life. You know?
Just because you want to have an easier life or to appease your mom.
Well, certainly not.
Yeah. Either way, you're compromising your principles.
Yes.
And that's not okay.
Yes.
Share your thoughts. 855-450-FREE. Liberland, it is a plot of land now in controversy. Apparently a lot more controversy than the president of Liberland originally thought. Vid Jedlicka has been arrested and detained for some time while he was questioned. He calls it like a friendly visit, but it sounds to me like he was doing it under duress, even if the officers were friendly about how they did it. And apparently they've also turned away others from physically getting onto the property of Liberland. So there was more to the story from RT.com. Is that right, Derrick J?
There's a little more, but I'm hesitant to even share it because it seems like the author at RT just went around saying, let me get some opinions from people who think this idea stinks.
I want to hear those opinions.
Okay, here we go.
These are legal experts, supposedly.
Yeah, legal experts say it's legally senseless that someone sticks a flag on a disputed territory.
Legally senseless.
Yeah.
It's a senseless system calls it senseless.
They would know. Also, the Croats call Liberland a virtual caricature, while the Serbs have described it as, quote, an entertaining act which needs no further comment. Well, numerous backers of the idea, including...
I'm not sure it's not an interesting caricature. I mean, I think for that very reason it has sort of some value. It is a bit of a caricature.
Well, even Jedlicka himself maintained that they simply wish to create, quote, a minimal state with, quote, a voluntary tax system, and to, quote, experiment with society the way it wants to be. But even simple onlookers on both sides of the Serbian-Croatian divide, supporting the idea at heart, doubt that such a thing can be created smack in between two previously warring states, still vying for the little parcel of land.
It does seem unlikely.
Well, Dominic Galenik from a nearby Croatian village says he can, quote, understand that some people are supportive of what's happening, but realistically, you can't just go somewhere and say, this is my country.
Well, I guess we'll see. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. What is it that they say that favors the bold? Fortune?
Fortune favors the bold.
Yeah, 855-450-FREE. Good for them. We'll keep an eye on it as well. There's more on the way here on Free Talk Live. Update on Cody Wilson coming up.
Attention business owners. Do you know the 3 most critical letters in business?
CEO? MBA?
Nope. Here's a hint. These 3 little letters can make the difference between making a fortune and losing everything.
ROI?
The answer is INC, as in incorporation. Because if you're not incorporated and someone sues your business, you can lose it all. Your home, your car, even your life savings. That's why Incorporate.com is now giving away a free incorporation guide to all business owners, so you can incorporate in just 10 minutes. Protect your home. Protect your car. Protect your life savings. Call 1-800-941-1029 for your free 10-minute incorporation guide from Incorporate.com. They don't provide legal or financial advice. They just make incorporating or forming an LLC quick and easy. Get the 3 little letters that can mean the difference between making a fortune and losing everything. For your free guide, call 1-800-941-1029. That's 1-800-941-1029.
KDArmor.com is your one-stop shop for the most affordable body armor, period. With packages starting at $169.99 and free shipping on every order. KD offers soft armor and rifle threat rated armor up to level 4. Go to KDArmor.com and get your body armor today while you still can. Mention this ad and receive a free tactical scarf for a limited time with any body armor package. That's CATIarmor.com. Come and take it.
Attention! Do you owe money to the IRS or have years of unfiled returns? Are you being audited or receiving threatening letters? If the answer is yes, you need help. The IRS can seize your property and assets, impose fines and penalties, garnish your wages, and even go after your bank account. Don't take on the IRS by yourself. Don't let the IRS destroy your life. Take action now. Call our team of experts for a free and confidential initial evaluation. We've helped thousands resolve their tax problems. Let us help you. 800-261-7073. 800-261-7073.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The Listen lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
You can watch the LRN Studio Cam and chat with other listeners anytime at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
Welcome back to Free Talk Live. You can join us here toll free at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Join us online. Drop by freetalklive.com and enjoy the features. If you like what we're doing on Free Talk Live, then you can become an amplifier right now at amp.freetalklive.com. That's AMP, as in advertise, market, and promote.
That's what it says in.
Right. The concept being you send $5 a month to Free Talk Live. We invest it into the show, getting on more radio stations around the country and bringing new listeners to the ideas of freedom. So once again, go to amp.freetalklive.com and get perks like access to the AMP-only call-in lines, AMP-only chat room, AMP-only forum, the AMP-only Facebook group, which is better, in my opinion, than a chat room. And you can go to amp.freetalklive.com. Please help us out for $5 a month. It makes a big difference for us when you do that. So thank you in advance. More on Liberland. I mean, is there more to say here as far as, obviously, we've burned through the story here from RT. There's these legal experts who are saying, ha, 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 this is ridiculous, but it's something, right? Like, there are people who've tried to go to this place, and they've been stopped. Now, all of a sudden, the Croatian and Serbian governments have put border guards on this previously supposedly unguarded plot of land, and are actively defending it as though they're staking a claim themselves. It's turning into a real contested area.
It makes me wonder if these legal experts would have more respect for Liberland if it were founded in violence, if they used guns
Most states
to
are.
say... Yeah, well, that's been the tradition historically, but I like that Liberland is a little bit different in the sense that they're saying, hey, here's some unclaimed land, we're going to homestead it, we're going to make this ours, we've claimed it now, and we're going to make it nice and be respectful. It seems like they're not speaking of violence at all against the Serbs or the Croats, and so it says to me these legal experts respect the gun and not words and...
Those legal experts have every reason to respect the gun.
I don't like that.
The gun's a very traditional means of establishing state power.
Well, let's go for a new one.
I'm for it. I haven't talked about the Liberland thing much here on the air because I just can't take it terribly seriously. It doesn't seem to me to be anything more than people who just want to dream about something on the internet.
But there are people going. They've tried to go there.
They haven't moved. They haven't even. Have they signed up for the Free State Project? Where
not everybody wants to join the Free State Project. It's not necessarily easy to immigrate.
Nearly 2,000 people have already picked up and moved.
Okay, but it's not necessarily an easy thing to immigrate from Europe or of Russia. Those areas. It's not an easy thing, right? So it would make sense for those people to go to Liberland, where in theory, if they were able to cross the border into Liberland, they might be able to have a chance at setting something up there. But right now that's being prevented. And let's talk about some strategies here. So we had mentioned earlier, hey, where's the video? If there have been these different countries, people from different countries who've tried to go and have been stopped, which is what the report from RT says, let's see the video of what this confrontation looks like. How many of these agents, these Border Patrol agents, do they have around this 3.5 square mile plot of land? I mean, there can't be that many of them. So, how many agents are there? What's it like when you go up and you try to make a cross into Liberland? What are they saying to people? What's the threat? What's it like when somebody gets arrested? Let's get more information about that. And then how many people would it take to outnumber the number of guards?
Or could they be bribed?
That would be really interesting.
Yeah.
But, whatever it takes, obviously they're not going to want to take a bribe on video. That's probably something that
you could record surreptitiously.
True, but then it
you'd
would
probably
look bad.
want to. You'd probably want to.
It's not going to be very successful in the long term, though.
But you'd probably it could be in places like Mexico
because it gets put up online.
No, somebody puts it online.
The guard goes to jail.
Right.
All right, but surreptitious video is probably the way to cross the border in the first place anyway, because it's going to change the outcome once you've got a big video camera standing in between you and a guard. They're going to be. I don't know. They're just going to be more authoritarian.
Why can't I go there? Officer, what is the reason I cannot go from this point on this land to that point on that land? What is the reason for that? And further, how many people would it take to overcome them? Like, if there were 100 people there that wanted to cross into Liberland at one day,
and they just rushed it?
Yeah, like a big marathon race or something like that.
Would be
a bunch of
great.
people going in there. What would they do?
They're stuck. It's not like there's freedom of transportation that way. Like every time they want to go get something from the outside world, they've got to run a marathon with 100 other people.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Well, it would just be the symbolism of being able to physically overpower these men with numbers.
And then you're stuck. You're surrounded by those men.
They're going to go get you and drag you off if they want you badly enough. See, this is really the problem going and playing with these foreign governments. Exactly what is this going to be like? I don't know, and I don't trust these people. This sounds dangerous. I'm just so not interested in this project. It's just yickety yak.
It's another Move Here project.
It's just another Move Here project. I've got a Facebook page called
a lot more.
They've gotten a lot of press.
You've got a Facebook page called the Move Here Project, which has sort of looked at the history of these similar things of we're going to set up a plot of land and people are going to come here kind of projects, right?
Yes.
So the Free State Project is the most successful of all of these with over 16,000. Is it 16,000 or 7? I don't even know what the numbers are right now. I should probably check.
It's over 16, not quite 17.
Okay, so over 16,000 people have pledged to make the move to New Hampshire as part of the Free State Project to, when they move here, be activists for more freedom in our lifetime. And that's going very well. There are over 1,700 people who are here now as part of the Free State Project. people are coming from internationally, but it's not easy, so it's a slow-going thing.
Sure.
There was at one time a free state Europe, which sort of fizzled out.
Yep.
There have been a lot of these fizzlings.
There aren't that many people in the world who are willing to do something for more freedom. I mean,
That's
it takes a lot.
It's a huge dedication.
And there's no clearly marked path. It's not like it would be one thing if it was move here and then follow these set of clear instructions. But it's move here and figure out how to find freedom.
Yeah, it's
you're
like
on your own.
Move here, ? Freedom. Right?
Yeah.
So we've got to figure out the whole question mark part. Let's go to Andrew. He's in Connecticut. You're on Free Talk Live. Andrew.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Welcome.
I love the show.
Thanks. Go ahead.
So someone who's living in Connecticut as an anarcho-capitalist, it's very difficult sometimes dealing with all the statists here. It's really overgrown.
That's what it's like everywhere.
Yes. I mean, it's starting to feel like California over here. But I wanted to call in because I was listening. I was just on my way to work this morning. I was just going out doing my thing for business. And I turned on the radio show. There's just a radio show that was on. And it's one of those silly shows that you just listen to. And we're talking, and they're kind of like liberal leaning, and they were mentioning like the taxes, like the new taxes that they're trying to pass in.
Is this a local show in Connecticut?
Yeah, it was just something. It was just something pertaining to Connecticut. Yeah, for taxes. It was just it's like a silly morning show, but even they are talking about it because it's such a relevant and trending topic. And they were like, basically, the state is like drowning in debt, and they just keep on trying to tax the hell out of everybody. And so one of the things that now they're proposing is, well, let's tax people who want to go golfing, or let's tax you if you want to go to the vet to take care of your dog. So like if you get a dog, it gets in an accident, and you have a bill for like $1,000, you're going to get taxed a ton of money on top of that. So it's like even stuff like, you name it, they're just trying to come up with every single little way to get you.
Yeah, it's funny that in some places they'll call it a luxury tax, and then you're supposed to feel bad when you have things like a beer because you're apparently enjoying some kind of luxury.
Well, this is not uncommon for governments, especially these days, since the sort of the real estate bubble popped and the property tax takes from these various different areas are going down. The governments don't want to lose their lifestyle. They don't want to lose the sort of the largesse that they had access to previously. So they got to come up with drastic ways to try to make up that shortfall, which includes increasing fees, increasing fines, adding new fines and fees for various different non-crimes, like taking a dog to the veterinarian or something like that, new taxes left and right. And there's got to be something that can stop it. And I think the Free State Project is that something. I mean, up here, it's just the sort of the nature of New Hampshire. It's not so much the Free State Project, but the Free State Project is here to sort of, I guess, back these guys up, back the sort of the New Hampshire natives up to be the sort of the front lines and the back lines, if you will, but to fortify, that's the word I'm looking for, to fortify the freedom movement that already exists here, the sort of freedom-oriented mentality. I'll give you one example. Even in Keene, New Hampshire, which is arguably the most sort of lefty city in all of New Hampshire, one of the largest tax rates.
It's New Hampshire's North Korea.
It's yeah, I mean, by comparison, it's one of the worst taxed places in New Hampshire. And even here, when the city council starts talking about possibly raising the parking fines from $5 to $10, as well as raising the actual rate for what you pay for parking at the parking meters, there's a big pushback. There are business owners who sign petitions, hundreds of people on the streets who sign petitions saying, we don't want this. And there's pushback against it. They tried to implement the kiosks a few years ago, and there was enough sort of natural pushback just from the regular folks of Keene against this stuff that they didn't bring these parking kiosks into play. There's more coming up here in moments. It's Free Talk Live. If you want to hang, Andrew, you can.
In a trial by jury, the primary function of a juror is not to dispense punishment to the accused. It is to protect your fellow citizens from being unjustly deprived of their life, liberty, or property. As a juror, you can say no to unjust laws and prevent government abuses of power by refusing to convict. Legislative, executive, judicial. The fourth branch of government is we the people. Find out more from the Fully Informed Jury Association at fija.org.
Indefinite extension of the human lifespan is coming. But is it coming soon enough for you and me? That's the $80,000 question. I say $80,000 because that's what it costs to have your head cryonically frozen by Alcor. I've committed to do it. I got a life insurance policy, and I made them the beneficiaries. Bam! My best shot at living forever. Interested? Contact them at alcor.org. ALCOR.org. Mention my name, and I get a free year of membership. If there was a place that liberty-minded people had been elected to political positions and were rolling back government, would you move there? If freedom lovers had secured a 20% voting bloc and can veto most bad bills, would you move? Well, the time has come to sign the pledge at freestateproject.org. These things have happened in New Hampshire, and you can join us and help. freestateproject.org. Sign up now at freestateproject.org.
Did you know that you can listen to and watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cam at cam.freetalklive.com? Not only that, but you can also chat with other listeners at the same time. Do I need to mention that both the studio cam and chat room are totally free? Outside of Free Talk Live's live hours, you won't see a cam feed, but will hear audio from the Liberty Radio Network. So listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Monday, May 11th, 2015. Silver is trading at $16.51 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,191 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $242. Antiwar.com reports suicide bombers from al-Qaeda's Nusra Front are leading an assault on the hospital complex in the northwestern Syrian town of Jisr al-Shughur, trying to force their way into the last government-held building in a town they took weeks ago. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights reported that around 250 people, some soldiers and some civilians who took shelter there during the fall of the town, have been held up in the hospital for 2 weeks. A suicide car bomber hit the building yesterday, setting the stage for a new siege on the building and trying to force their way in. Nusra forces have continued to secure the rest of the town and the surrounding area with little effort. Syrian military forces have been trying to push their way back into the Idlib province, and President Assad insisted that there would be an effort to rescue the people trapped in the hospital. So far, however, they appear far from putting a new siege to Jisr al-Shughur. For over 35 years, Roberts & Roberts has been a trusted source for buying and selling your investment-grade precious metals. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and permanently removed the minimum purchase order for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on investing and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 850-478-5270 or online at rrbi.co. UPI reports Aero Mobile, the company trying to release the first flying car, recently crashed its prototype during a test flight in Slovakia. Stefan Klein, co-founder of the company, was piloting the car when he experienced an unexpected situation, according to a statement. He was 900 feet in the air and was able to deploy a parachute to prevent the crash from being catastrophic. Klein did not suffer any major injuries, and the company is analyzing data from the car to figure out exactly what happened. The statement says, in part, it is necessary to test the prototype in every way possible to establish its limits and to improve on them. The flight recording details will help us learn from the data and improve the performance of the vehicle prior to our next flight test. The company recently announced it intends to begin working on self-flying cars. Coinbase is a simple and secure online Bitcoin wallet for sending, receiving, and storing Bitcoin. Coinbase also allows you to buy and sell Bitcoin using a bank account or use their tools to accept Bitcoin as a merchant. All of your funds on Coinbase are safe, with approximately 90% of customer funds being stored offline, and all wallets are stored using AES 256 encryption. Get started at coinbase.fppradio.com. Reuters reports Polish President Bronislaw Komorowski finished a surprise second behind his conservative opponent in the first round of a presidential election on Sunday and must now face him in a runoff. Being forced into another round later this month pointed to voter disenchantment, an alarming prospect for Komorowski's allies in the Polish government, who hope to win a record third term in office in a parliamentary election later this year. Andrzej Duda, the winning candidate, said late on Sunday the result should be seen as a serious warning for the whole broadly defined governing camp. The exit poll by Ipsos put Komorowski at 32.2% of the vote and projected 34.8% for Duda, who is running for the conservative Law and Justice opposition party. Opinion polls before Sunday showed the incumbent with a comfortable lead. The exit poll showed Paweł Kukiz, a rock musician, was third with 20.3% of the vote. The outcome of the runoff is likely to hinge on which candidate wins over the most Kukiz voters. He has endorsed allies of Komorowski in past elections. Komorowski, addressing supporters who gathered in the National Stadium in Warsaw to celebrate what they had expected would be a victory, said he would try to reconnect with voters disappointed with their rulers. Komorowski said, "Let's not have any illusions. We face hard work, a hard fight, but I am convinced that we are also facing victory." In Poland, Eastern Europe's biggest economy, the prime minister has the most power, but the president wields clout as the head of the armed forces, has a say in foreign policy, and the power to veto legislation. The presidential election is a dress rehearsal for the parliamentary vote when the center-right Civic Platform Party will face a strong challenge from Law and Justice. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
A new teen trend of walking wet and nude couldn't have caught on at a worse time, and a taxpayer is outraged. And lo, the Lord said unto the Israelites, "Look unto the heavens, and you shall see a news review program to rival the greatest wonders of the earth. This is the Onion Week in Review." As a front of dense frigid air and snow showers brought sub-zero temperatures to much of the country this week, Canton, Ohio residents noted that the blanketing of snow they had received created the illusion that their town was not a total shithole. Residents added that unlike its typical depressing reality, the snow-cloaked town actually looked halfway livable.
Canton is usually a miserable little dump, but you know when that first snow fell and covered everything in a layer of white powder? For about 5 minutes it was like not everything I saw depressed the living out of me.
Reports from locals also confirmed that for a brief period, the streets, parks, and buildings around them gave the surprising impression of not being a run-down, heartbreaking excuse for a hometown.
This is the Onion News Network.
We're back with more Free Talk Live. You're welcome to join us here, toll free at 855-450-FREE. Looks like the creator of the Liberator, the gun that you can print with a 3D printer, he's going to court. He's now suing the feds. We'll give you the update on what's going on with Cody Wilson here in a little bit. Your calls and thoughts, welcome, 855-450-FREE. We were just talking, by the way, with you in studio here, it's Ian,
Derrick J.
and Mark.
And we were just talking with Andrew in Connecticut. He's frustrated by the seeming unending amount of taxes that are being created or that are being raised in his state of Connecticut there, and it's bothering you. I know, Andrew, if I'm recalling correctly, are you a Free State Project participant? Do we have Andrew in Connecticut still?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I am. I'm extremely interested. I was actually born right up. I lived in Keene when I was 2. So wow. I mean, I've been in New England all my life. I love it, and I love New England, but New Hampshire is really the only place I see myself living. It's Connecticut. I mean, it's just getting worse and worse, and it's kind of like New Hampshire is the last stand. And
that's how I feel.
The last stand.
Many people feel that way.
And I want to be involved in that fight.
Well, I don't like to see it as a fight personally, but I do understand the idea of it being the last stand. I mean, it makes sense to retreat from the area that you are in, Florida, California, Illinois, Connecticut, wherever the statism has become too much, and then retreat to an area where you can regroup with the people who believe as you do, believe in more freedom, and then make a stand for freedom. It doesn't have to be a violent stand. It can be a peaceful stand. I mean, when you and I, Derrick J., have been arrested for civil disobedience, we were standing for what we believed in, and we were putting our freedom on the line in order to do so. And I think there's real value in retreating and regrouping, because there's really no other way that we can have success. There just aren't enough libertarians anywhere to have an impact anywhere else. So if we concentrate the activism in one place, we know it works. This isn't speculation, right? Like, we have free staters who've been elected, and the Libertarian Party hardly has anyone they can point to that's been elected in 40 years that the Libertarian Party.
Dozens and dozens of elected Free Staters, and many people who are like-minded have gotten excited by the Free State Project that are here in state already. So, I mean, this is happening. And the question is really not necessarily to you. It sounds, Andrew, like you're willing to come here. But to those listening who care about freedom, the question is, what are you willing to do about it? Because if all you're willing to do is post on Facebook and complain to your friends about how bad things are, then how can you ever expect that that's going to make a difference?
That's not going to bring more freedom in your life.
It may be cathartic, but it's not going to bring you more freedom. Andrew, anything else you want to share tonight?
Yeah, I wanted to mention also, I'm thinking, like, I've got a nice woman who actually gets it. Like, she's on board with all of this.
Sure.
So it's like, I've got it made right now. I'm all set, and I'm ready to move up there and send in the reinforcements. Have kids and get involved and really just start this going. My question was, are you guys going to be at Porcfest?
Oh, yeah. We'll be broadcasting live. In fact, Derrick J., I imagine you're going to be heading up a couple episodes of Freedom Fiends.
Yeah!
You're going to be broadcasting your show, Flaming Freedom, and also Cop Block Radio.
That's
you're going to
right.
be on the most shows, I think, of any. There's several shows who are going to be broadcasting
I think
live.
I'll just set up camp in the media room.
So, yes, we will certainly be there, and we'll look forward to seeing you, Andrew. Thanks for the call tonight. Porcfest is the Porcupine Freedom Festival. Derrick J., how do you describe the
call
Porcupine
it
Freedom
a
Festival?
little piece of heaven on earth. For people who love freedom, there is no better place. I really believe that. For 1 week, I get to live in what I view as what would be the libertarian utopia of the future. Where people are figuring out how they can serve one another with businesses. They vend each other food and services.
It's kind of like what Liberland might envision themselves at, right?
Yeah, there are parties, there's dance parties, there's radio talk shows that are happening, there's instructive classes. Last year there was how to build your own rifle.
Oh, yeah. There's so many different options for people to do. I mean, if you just want to go hang out with people, that's, I think, some of the most satisfying.
Certainly an option.
But there's also lots of curriculum, whether it's for families or for, young people or single folks or whatever. There's a lot going on at the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and I believe they have posted an initial schedule finally. So a lot of people have been waiting for that at porcfest.com. That's porcfest.com. So if you want to have a look at some of the things that are going to be going on, it's subject to change, obviously, because you never know what's going to happen between when you mention what the schedule is and then to what actually occurs.
It's also a pretty fluid kind of event anyway.
Yeah. But it's a blast, and this is going to be the 12th annual Porcupine Freedom Festival. We've had the pleasure of broadcasting live from the event basically since we've been here in New Hampshire. And you went last year, right, Derrick J.?
And the year before, yes.
Okay, but there was a year that you had to miss, right?
I was in jail.
So it's good to have you back.
For civil disobedience.
That's right.
Just like to point out.
Right.
And you're going to be taking the microphone on, 4 different shows, I think, during the week, or 3 at least?
At least.
Yeah, it's going to be a busy week for you. It's actually like a working vacation for us to some extent.
Yeah, and in many ways it is, but it's very much the vacation when you say working vacation. I was thinking about, well, what it would be like, because I've got a lot of pigs this year at my house, and I've got to have somebody take care of them for a week while we're at Porcfest, and I just thought, entertain the idea of just calling in and letting you go ahead and do it and saying, hey, I'm going to sit this Porcfest out.
Really?
Well, I just thought about it.
Okay.
And what I thought was, I don't really want to do that.
Why?
Because it's awesome.
Because it's that great.
It's a really great event.
Yeah.
And it's just such great family events. Jack gets to play with all these kids that he wouldn't otherwise be able to play with.
Right.
Laura gets to talk to all the hippie mamas that she likes, and it's just a great event.
So don't miss it. Porcfest.com. Tickets are available. We will look forward to seeing you there. They've had great guests over the years at the Porcupine Freedom Festival. I don't think Cody Wilson has been to Porcfest, but he has been to the Liberty Forum, which is the other Free State Project event that they put on during the wintertime. Anyway, there's an update about Cody. He is the Texas man. This according to Inquisitor.com. He is the Texas man who posted online instructions on how to build a 3D printable gun, but was later thwarted by the government. And he has filed a lawsuit against the federal government, alleging that his right to free speech was violated, according to the New York Times. Back in 2013, Cody Wilson developed what's known as the Liberator, a single-use gun, meaning it fires once.
This is named after the Liberator from World War II, where they dropped in France, the United States dropped in France a bunch of these single-shot guns with the intention that the French people would sacrifice themselves by using the single-shot gun to kill, say, high-level Nazis.
And wasn't it just a piece of crap?
It
that
was,
Liberator,
and mostly didn't work.
Would blow up in people's hands and things like that. Like, it was really not a good thing. So I wouldn't have chosen, personally, the Liberator because of that if I were naming
this
thing.
Though.
Yeah. But knowing the history of it, I don't know if I would want to align my product with something that would be like calling your car the Pinto. I mean, you wouldn't want to bring that one back.
The Edsel.
Right?
The Pinto has a lot of worse name than it deserves.
What about the Trabant? Was that the German car? Or
I don't know.
Anyway. Back in 2013, he developed the Liberator, the single-use gun made almost entirely of plastic that can be printed on a 3D printer through his company, Defense Distributed.
You need a nail, is what, when he says almost entirely of plastic, you need a nail.
Wilson put the plans online so anyone with a 3D printer could download those plans for free and have their own gun without having to go through background checks, waiting periods, or any other steps necessary to purchase and own a firearm. The plans for the Liberator proved immensely popular, and according to Fox News, within days they had been downloaded over 100,000 times. And the State Department was not amused, citing an obscure set of rules designed to regulate the export of military data called the International Traffic in Arms Regulations, ITAR. The federal government ordered Wilson to take down the plans immediately or face fines and prison time. Wilson's attorney at the time, Matthew Goldstein, believes that poor timing played a role. The plans for the Liberator were put online not long after the Sandy Hook shooting, and Goldstein says the State Department wanted to make an example of his client, saying, quote, after Sandy Hook, the government decided that it wanted to stop this, but there were no laws that allowed them to do so within the Constitution. So they reached into their bag of tricks and suddenly pulled out ITAR.
They do this all the time.
Right, because, they got a lot of regulations there at the federal government, and they probably have some regulations to cover what it is that you want to do. And if they want to apply it to you and say, you better stop or else, they certainly can do that. We'll continue, though, here, because Cody has filed a lawsuit in this case. We'll learn a little bit more about that on the way, and you can dial in toll-free. I didn't realize the plans had been pulled down. I guess I forgot that detail of the case. It's Free Talk Live.
There are two types of advertising. Pull advertising, like Google AdWords, where a consumer goes looking for widgets near them and you try to pull them in with your ad away from the other widget purveyors. Then there's push advertising, where you push your message out about your great widgets and attempt to convince people who weren't thinking about widgets at all that what they need in their life right now is your widget. Radio is push advertising. In the course of a week, there are probably over 250,000 good folks listening to Free Talk Live, and they could hear your message. We're having a sale right now, and it ends May 15th. 200 30-second ads for $1,997. That's like $10 an ad. Find another show with that kind of rate with 150 plus stations. Email me, Mark Edge at mark@freetalklive.com, and I'll set you up. You don't need to have an ad. We'll produce it for you. Buy 200 30-second ads by May 15th and get them for less than $10 a piece. It's a big savings, and you don't want to miss it. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com now.
Gold. It's like nothing else on Earth. From the Romans through the Renaissance, from the Industrial Age to the Space Age, gold has weathered the test of time. For 6,000 years, gold has remained the ultimate store of wealth. According to the World Gold Council and the U.S. Mint, demand is at an all-time high. The stage is being set for the reemergence of gold as the common-sense alternative to a fiat paper currency that gets weaker every day. Midas Resources is proud to offer the hard-hitting report that arms you with the truth you need to protect you and your family from the Fed's plans for your hard-earned money. Don't gamble with your future. Call Midas Resources today and ask for your free copy of As Good as Gold. Call 1-800-686-2237 for the report the Fed hopes you'll never see. As Good as Gold can be yours by calling 800-686-2237. If you have ever thought about owning gold, you must read this report. Call Midas today at 800-686-2237.
The easiest thing in the world for a reader to do is to stop reading, according to the late, great Barney Kilgore, who became managing editor of the Wall Street Journal in 1941 and grew the paper's circulation from 33,000 to 1 million by the 60s. And he'd be pleased to know that his paper is one of the few that people now pay to read online. Someone else pre-internet who realized that attention is fragile? Motown Records founder Berry Gordy. In the early 60s, when his label dominated the charts, he'd bring a dozen real people into the Hitsville, USA studios and audition songs. And he'd ask, if you were down to your last dollar, would you spend it on this record or would you buy a sandwich? Today, attention span seems like an oxymoron. For tips on cutting through the clutter, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1. Share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Stouffer's, helping bring your family together with wholesome dinner options, even on the busiest of nights. Find dinner table ideas to bring your family together at letsfixdinner.com. To get kids involved in dinnertime conversation, ask specific questions, not broad ones. Instead of what happened today at school, try what was the best thing that happened today. The more specific you are, the more they'll have to say. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
We are back with more Free Talk Live. The Liberator, the gun that you can download and print, is still in the news. I think it's good news, actually. Cody Wilson, the founder of the Defense Distributed, which is the company that is putting the Liberator out there, or at least was until they were ordered to stop under some obscure federal regulations.
And that means all of the instructions on the internet for the Liberator disappeared.
Of course not.
It means nothing like that.
No, in fact, one of the things I was going to point out is I went and did a quick search to see how long would it take me to find the plans. And so first I searched for Liberator plans. The Defense Distributed website came up. One of the articles they're featuring on the Defense Distributed website is a Slate article about how the Pirate Bay is helping to distribute the plans now that Defense Distributed has taken them down. So I then went to the piratebay.se, which is the Pirate Bay's website, typed in Liberator, and it was the first two options that came up. So if you want to get the plans for the Liberator, all you have to do is go to thepiratebay.se and search for Liberator, and they'll come up.
So how about that all-powerful government with their magic wand?
But now he is suing the feds, and I want to talk a little more about that. Our toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. Plus, Mark, you've got a special deal that's running for a limited time.
Yeah, it ends at the end of the week, May the 15th. So just a few more days to cash in on our big sale we're having here on Free Talk Live. We're selling 200 30-second ads for $1,997. I was just talking to a business owner today, and he's like, oh, my God. And you're on 150 stations? And he was doing the mental calculations in his mind. If you've got a an organization or a business or just a website you want to promote, this is a great way to do it. 200 ads. This is basically $10 a piece. 200 ads for $1,997. Get a hold of me, Mark at freetalklive.com, and I'll get you set up. You don't even need to possess your own ad currently. We can make one for you. So it's Mark at freetalklive.com.
All right, so we know that Defense Distributed has been ordered to take down the plans for the Liberator, this gun that you can print out with a 3D printer. And they have done that because, well, you know, when the feds put a gun in your face and say you should do something, it's fairly persuasive. However, the internet has stepped in and has come to the rescue with distributed file sharing, these, you know, distributed torrent networks, which is what's happening with the plans for the Liberator. You can now go and download them via torrent, and I'm sure they're available elsewhere. I imagine other websites are also mirroring the downloads. But you can, yeah, and if you wanted to, you could go and download the plans for the Liberator, and then you could actually seed those plans as well. So the more people that seed, when you download a torrent, what happens is you get pieces of the file, in this case the plans for the Liberator. You get pieces of that data from different locations, all these other people who are seeding the file, and then once you complete 100% of the file, you have a copy of the plans, and you can now become a seed. So you can be part of the dozens of people, or however many hundreds of people might be out there, that are sort of keeping this file alive on the internet. You can contribute to that, and you contributing means that the amount of bandwidth that's available to send those files increases, so the people who download them will get them faster. Now, to be clear, the Liberator file is 2 megabytes. This is a small file. This actually would not take you more than a fraction of a moment, basically, to download this thing. But still, nonetheless, seeding the file is an important thing to do if you want to help keep information free, if you want to help keep the internet free. I would recommend that.
But also, people have a right to defend themselves if they don't. And I think that this is a very interesting first step in just sort of showing how incompetent the whole concept of the state is going to be with the internet.
Yeah.
Because
it's out
governments have spent an inordinate amount of time and energy throughout the ages trying to keep the average individual from having a weapon. And a weapon, in many cases, is the representation of a free person. You are able to make decisions in a way, if you're armed, in a way that you cannot if you are disarmed. And this is just showing, look, you can't stop people from getting guns anymore. This, right now, this gun's made of plastic. But as 3D printing gets better and better, people are going to be able to print up the very best armaments for themselves right in their garage, and there's nothing you can do about it.
So here's a story from the New York Times. It's more detailed on sort of what the legal thrust is here of this particular suit. I don't think you're going to be seeing it argued so much from a Second Amendment perspective of the right to defend yourself as much as it is a First Amendment perspective of this is speech. This is data.
It's just data.
This is just ones and zeros in a file. And how can you prohibit that? So his high-powered legal team working for Cody Wilson with Defense Distributed has filed suit against the State Department, according to the New York Times, claiming that its efforts to stop him from publishing his plans, which are no more than computer code, amount to a prior restraint on free speech. The 25-page suit filed Wednesday in federal district court in Austin, Texas, is an innovative and apparently unprecedented effort to use the First Amendment in support of the Second. Defense Distributed believed and continues to believe that the United States Constitution guarantees a right to share truthful speech, the lawsuit states, and it continues saying, especially speech concerning fundamental constitutional rights in open forums. Now, while this argument will be decided in court, some First Amendment experts say the lawsuit was a trailblazing foray into free speech law and at least raised legitimate concerns. Floyd Abrams, noted First Amendment attorney, says, I can't think of anything quite analogous, but on the face of it, it seems to me like a serious claim. The case began in May of 2013 when Mr. Wilson, who was then in law school at the University of Texas, got a letter from the State Department informing him that by posting his files online, he may have violated a complicated set of federal rules, the International Traffic in Arms Regulations.
You may have. We don't know.
Right. Which seeks to prevent the export of sensitive military hardware, including weapons technology. The letter from the Directorate of Defense Trade Controls, a State Department office, told him to take the files down while the officials reviewed whether he needed a license to disseminate what it referred to as, quote, defense articles. Now, this was back in May of 2013, so this was a long time ago. I mean, we were talking about 2 years ago that this letter happened, apparently.
Been some time, yeah.
There are already, I hate to play devil's advocate against Cody, but there are already some things like speech that are regulated by law where you need a license, like, for example, giving dietitian advice. You can't. I know that people on the internet have gotten in trouble for making claims about, Atkins or certain diets if they don't have a license to do so.
And it certainly is possible that the court could decide that, well, there's a governmental interest that is more important here than your right to free speech.
That sounds like the sort of thing they'd say, yeah.
Yeah, so, well, sorry, but no, you're going to have to not be posting this in the United States.
I wonder why.
I'd call it freedom of the press as opposed to free speech. I mean, this is as a newspaper. I mean, that would be the most fundamental form of speech there is. As a newspaper, should you be allowed to print instructions on how to make your own gun? Well,
that's not a news story.
But why not, though? I mean, if you have freedom of the press, you either do or you don't. And so at that point, it's news. I mean, here's news on how to build your own gun.
But then why wouldn't that apply to dietitian advice? Why can't you have a column like Dear Abby that says, hey, will I lose weight if I start eating this way or that way? Apparently, that's regulated speech, too.
No, they're going to claim it's, to some extent, medical advice because it affects your body. I'm not saying it's right or wrong.
I say all speech should be allowed, and then let the buyer decide, let the listener
consumer
decide.
Of the information.
855-450 free. But how do you feel about this gun being prohibited? The plans for it, at least. 855-450 free. Free Talk Live.
You pick up the receiver. With your heart racing and sweat dripping from your forehead, you finally muster the courage to dial the number to call into your favorite talk radio show. It rings once, twice, and then...
Hello, it's GCN. What's your name and the state you're calling from?
Surprised you got through, you squeak out.
Jason from Minnesota.
Please hold.
As you patiently wait for your turn, you begin to daydream about being a famous talk radio host and what it would be like to have your own show.
Jason from Minnesota, you're up.
Millions of loyal listeners worldwide waiting to call and talk to you.
Caller, are you there?
Cheering crowds surround you, calling out your name.
Jason! Jason! Going once, twice. Okay, we gotta move on to the next caller.
You blew it.
Huh? Wait, no!
Interact with the hosts you're listening to right now, online at GCNlive.com. Click on the community link. Engage with other listeners. Ask questions. Start debates. Don't agree with the host? Let them know. Be a part of the community at GCNlive.com.
There are two types of advertising. Pull advertising, like Google AdWords, where a consumer goes looking for widgets near them and you try to pull them in with your ad away from the other widget purveyors. Then there's push advertising, where you push your message out about your great widgets and attempt to convince people who weren't thinking about widgets at all that what they need in their life right now is your widget. Radio is push advertising. In the course of a week, there are probably over 250,000 good folks listening to Free Talk Live, and they could hear your message. We're having a sale right now, and it ends May 15th. 200 30-second ads for $1,997. That's like $10 an ad. Find another show with that kind of rate with 150 plus stations. Email me, Mark Edge at mark@freetalklive.com, and I'll set you up. You don't need to have an ad. We'll produce it for you. Buy 200 30-second ads by May 15th and get them for less than $10 a piece. It's a big savings, and you don't want to miss it. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com now.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateur, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live.
I cannot imagine anyone ever calling a cigarette interdiction hotline.
That'd be great.
What would that conversation be like?
Hell, I'm calling because I can't stop smoking.
Sir, do you have a cigarette right now?
Well, yes.
Is it lit?
Uh-huh.
Okay, you have an ashtray?
Yes.
Okay, you know when you're done with your cigarette and you put it out?
Uh-huh.
Okay, try that right now.
But it's not.
Go ahead and do that same motion.
Can you imagine the conversations?
What the hell could they possibly
Is it 24
say?
hours?
I just don't get
Just
it.
someone call him. I can't do it anymore.
It's dumb.
I smoked the whole pack of cigarettes.
I only get motivated at 3 a.m. Help me out. There's nobody there.
I've smoked all my money away, and now my wife's left me, and she took the dog and the kids. I got no money left. I've smoked it all.
I was breaking into my neighbors' houses and pawning their TVs for more cigarettes.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM. While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live, and I just realized what I should do is take the plans for the Liberator and post them on our Facebook and our Twitter, so that way you can easily access these plans without having to go to the Pirate Bay's website and type something in a search box. You can just go to our Free Talk Live pages, which you can access through news.freetalklive.com anytime you want, or you can use short codes like twitter.freetalklive.com or facebook.freetalklive.com to take you to one or the other.
Excellent. Now we're revolutionaries.
Seditious. Yeah, I think we downloaded the plans a long time ago, too. I honestly don't know if I'm still seeding them. I'll have to check my torrents. But, yeah, I definitely support free speech. And I'm not a big gun guy or anything like that. But, man, I definitely support free speech and the right to bear arms. And when it's under fire, I think that, we should definitely try to be as supportive as possible. Especially Cody Wilson seems like a pretty principled liberty guy, too, from the couple times we've had him on Free Talk Live. And I think you probably have you had him on one of your shows?
Yeah, I interviewed him for Peace News.
Yeah, so I mean, he seems to be really principled, and he's very brave to go up against the federal government like this. He's now got a team of attorneys that is suing the federal government, claiming that they are putting a kibosh on his right to free speech by ordering him to remove the plans for this gun that you can download the plans for all around the internet. So they haven't stopped the plans. They've just made a statement of, well, we will force you to do what we say because we're the federal government. Let's go to Chris, listening in Summerville, Alabama, to WBAP out of Huntsville. Hey, Chris.
Hello. Good show as usual, fellow revolutionaries.
Good to have you.
There's a bigger picture with this, I think. You could go online on Facebook, YouTube, whatever, and get plans for about anything conceivable that concerns firearms or firearms training. All right, as far as the State Department not wanting this disseminated worldwide and using their obscure little crappy regulation, I think it's a trial balloon. Like I said earlier, anything you could even conceive of is available now online as far as firearms training, how to build, how to modify, how to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Say they do win this, the federal government, that is. They could start going after the other stuff. This may be a trial balloon for them. When they did it, they knew it'd probably hit the court. So, I never put nothing past them. And,
I have no illusions that this is necessarily going to go in Cody's favor. But this is what he has to do legally if he wants to have a chance to retain his right to free speech. And so he's got to do it, right?
Exactly. He has to do it, and I'm in support of him. Not that I will get a 3D printer and download the gun. I have enough blocks as it is. It works perfectly fine. But still, the spirit of it, the entrepreneurial spirit, hey, it's not illegal to build your own gun in this country.
Not yet.
But even if it is illegal in some places, this could be a huge help to people in areas where guns are fairly restricted and they can't get access easily to Glocks or whatever, and they want to have a way to defend themselves or their family. They could print up a few of these liberators, load them up with a bullet, and keep them in different places around the house or something like that.
This really isn't the United States government keeping guns out of the hands of U.S. citizens. Basically, if you want to have a gun in the U.S., you can can do it. If you live in the worst, most arduous places, D.C., Chicago, places like that, you can move to someplace less, less restrictive and then get a gun. But you're not keeping the guns out of the hands of U.S. citizens because of this law. This is disarming the poorest, the most downtrodden around the world. This is what the U.S. government's doing. It's what it does less overtly all the time by supporting dictators and sheiks and kings that subjugate their people, as long as they'll, do something for the federal government in the process.
Yeah. Well, that's about all I had to
Thanks,
say
Chris.
about it.
Good call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. Toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. Here's more from the story from the New York Times about Cody Wilson. He's 27. He claims he spent thousands of dollars over the next 2 years. So again, he was told by the State Department, you got to take these plans down while we review your case to determine whether or not you need a license. We think you may need a license for this, but we have not yet made that determination. Meanwhile, you should stop speaking freely so we can make that determination. It's now been 2 years. And so he's spent thousands of dollars with these attorneys who've helped him file paperwork in an effort to comply with these regulations, which are known as ITAR. When the State Department did not make a decision in that time frame on whether he needed a license, he came to believe he was being singled out for scrutiny, in part because his files were published not long after the Sandy Hook school shootings in Connecticut, in which 26 people, many of them children, were killed. Worrying that he was being thrust into a kind of legal limbo, Mr. Wilson filed suit, asking for judicial permission to repost his files and seeking damages. His attorney says, going on here, Goldstein is his attorney, Matthew Goldstein. He said authorities were supposed to have made their ruling within 60 days.
And it's been 2 years.
Right. But now it's been 2 years, and he's still waiting, he said. While the State Department declined to comment on the suit.
Why should they?
Legal
They
experts
don't have any obligations to you.
Said only a few previous cases have touched on similar issues. In 1979, for instance, the Department of Energy sued the Progressive magazine after one of its reporters wrote an article that purported to disclose the recipe for making a hydrogen bomb. The government prevailed in lower court, but dropped its claim on appeal after the reporter, Howard Moreland, revealed that he'd cobbled his article together from sources that were publicly available.
Yeah.
Then in 1983, Paladin Press, a small publishing company, released the book.
They've advertisers on Free Talk Live, mind you.
They have interesting books over there at Paladin Press. They released a book.
If you want to be a ninja, that is the place to go.
In this case, this was Hitman, a technical manual for independent contractors. A decade later, a triple murder was committed in Montgomery County, Alabama, by a man who claimed that he had used the book as a how-to guide. In 1996, the family of victims sued the Paladin Press, arguing that the publisher had aided and abetted the killings. The next year, an appeals court ruled the book was not protected by the First Amendment.
Really? An appeals court?
Paladin Press's insurance company settled with the family, paying several $1 million and agreeing to destroy the remaining copies. I'm shocked by that. I had not heard.
No, I hadn't heard that either.
Of that story, and that seems like a drastic violation of free speech and free press.
Was that still in the 80s, or was the internet around?
That was the 90s.
Well, I hope
96.
I hope they had a digital copy on the internet somewhere, and then they just destroyed all the hard copy books.
Yeah, it would be interesting to go out there and look for that particular book now and see, how valuable it is. How many copies are there out there? Imagining not so many. This may be a collector's item.
Maybe it was like one of those, hey, anyone who bought our book, go destroy it now. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
No, they said they had the remaining copies.
Oh, okay.
Despite these rulings, Ken Paulson, the president of the First Amendment Center, said Wilson's claim was, at the very least, not frivolous and brought into question whether a citizen's First Amendment rights extend beyond the country's borders. ITAR bans the export of protected weapons systems, but it remains unclear if Mr. Wilson would have violated its rules had he posted his instructions on file servers accessible only within the United States. The presumption is that whatever information people want to share is protected, and the government can't tell them they can't publish, said Paulson. But a key question here will be if restrictions can be put on Wilson in a way that does not chill his free speech within the United States. So suggesting that, maybe these regulations should only apply to him releasing these plans to the world, that it would somehow put the world in jeopardy if the Liberator plans were to go online for all to access.
It's really ridiculous.
It is.
The idea that a single-shot plastic gun is somehow going to put the world in jeopardy. Somehow our planet's governmental systems are so shaky that the plans for building your own sort of little plastic thing that will blow up in your hand probably within the first 8 shots or something like that. This is a pretty rudimentary thing. Yep, we just can't handle that. The only people that can have guns are the people that work for the governments. That's it. It's the only safe option, people.
I'm confused. Is the state saying that he can't release his plans to the world, so maybe they would propose something like a little caveat on the website, like, hey, if you want to download these plans, you better be in the United States, otherwise
the state's not saying that. That's Ken Paulson. He's the president of the First Amendment Center. So the state is not commenting on this case at all. But we'll tell you, there is a comment here from Cody Wilson. We'll get to that here in a moment. 855-450-FREE. You can share your thoughts on sharing plans for guns. I say it should be completely legal. It's Free Talk Live.
I'm Steve Sidkowski, a former Wall Street insider. I'm holding a book that will show you investing strategies which could help you earn the kind of money you've always dreamed about. And right now, I'm giving this book away for free. So who needs to read it? If you're in the middle of your career and worry you'll never have enough money to retire, you need to read this book. If you're already retired and your income isn't enough, you need to read this book. And if you don't want to be selling burgers at 80, you need to read this free book. It includes the strategy I use to make a 72% profit on a trade where the stock only moved 12%. You'll need at least $1 million to ever fully retire. If you're behind on that goal, you really need to read Trade Like the Pros. And you can for free by calling 1-800-944-5836. Skeptical that it will deliver results? It's a free book, so what do you have to lose? Find out how at 1-800-944-5836. 1-800-944-5836.
It's time to build your own emergency food stockpile with the industry leader, My Patriot Supply. Once you try them, you'll know why so many Americans like you have made them part of their emergency preparedness plan. Experience the My Patriot Supply difference today with this unbelievable offer. Right now, a 4-week food supply is only $99, and that includes free shipping. That's 50% off the online price. Call 800-274-3070 to claim yours. Limit 2 per caller while supplies last. This offer isn't available online, so you want to make sure and grab this opportunity to get prepared today. 800-274-3070 to get your 4-week food supply for the incredible price of only $99, and it'll be shipped to you completely free. Call 800-274-3070 right now. That's 800-274-3070 to claim yours while supplies last. Don't wait. Call today.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa, Hey,
who do you think you are?
Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it.
Wait a minute.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me? Because you're scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derrick J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
LRN.FM needs your help getting our satellite signal back on in Africa. Our satellite provider had us on at no charge from 2012 through February of this year when they pulled the channel off the air. Now we're trying to raise $22,000 to continue reaching people with the message of liberty in places where it's needed most. please visit our Indiegogo fundraiser at africa.lrn.fm. Give what you can and share the link with your friends. africa.lrn.fm.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live. Moments remain, but there's enough time for you if you dial in right now at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Coming up, we'll give you what Cody Wilson, the founder of Defense Distributed, has to say about his own lawsuit that he's filed now against the federal government, basically saying they are restricting his free speech by telling him to take down plans from his website while they make some determination as to whether or not he can legally have them.
At some time.
Yeah, at some unknown point in the future. It's now been 2 years since they originally told him they were going to get to him within 60 days with this decision.
That's 60 days, 2 years.
That's the nice thing about being the ones that make the rules. You don't have to follow them.
It's true. So we'll give you his comments here in just a moment. Also want to let you know the African Satellite Fundraiser has less than a week remaining. If you want to help support this, please go to africa.lrn.fm. Throw in whatever you can and then share the link. Maybe we can have a last-minute push to get it up to
be awesome.
Something. Go to africa.lrn.fm. There's perks available, like getting to hang out in the studio of your favorite LRN.FM show. There are like a dozen shows that have stepped up and volunteered to, hey, yeah, it's cool. If somebody wants to come hang out in the studio, they can do that. So go and check it out, get all the perks, and contribute and share over at africa.lrn.fm. Brett is on the line in Flint, Michigan. Hey, Brett.
Hey, guys. Obviously, the criminally insane Luciferian, Talmudic, serpent demonite, Bolshevik government, they don't want the monopoly over everything. They're not satisfied with just the monetary system. They want to believe that they own everything and everyone. There's a fella that I've heard for a period, quite about a year. His name is Clint Richardson, Corporation Nation, and he has a series of interviews that he's done with a fella. You want to talk liberty and freedom? There's this dude KW out of Kentucky. Okay, now when we think of land ownership, if we're compelled by legal so-called authorities to pay taxes, we obviously don't own our land.
We've been saying that for years here on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, but what Richardson and this fellow KW have done, particularly KW in Kentucky, is they have now delineated the blueprint by which anyone with a functioning brain and a desire to be truly free can do so. And so what I urge
that sounds interesting. I want to be truly free.
Yeah.
My brain functions.
Yeah, well, go to Corporation Nation Archives.wordpress.com.
Brett, can you back off your phone for maybe an inch or so? Just kind of back off a little bit. It's a little bit distorted. So you're saying that there's some radio show where they're giving information that you think is really important. What is the approach basically that they're taking?
Okay, it's to the KW in Kentucky. Is this better, guys? Or you still have this?
Yeah, it sounds better.
It's not really that much better, but it's a little bit better. Go ahead.
Let me do this real quick. All right, is this better?
That's better.
Yeah.
What did you change?
I had you on speakerphone.
Oh, that'll do it. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I got it. I got a really good Android, but I guess it's not that good.
Thank you for doing that. It's much more pleasant to listen to you now. So go ahead. So what is this approach? I mean, because we've heard a lot about corporate this, corporate that. Everything's a corporation, and where's this guy coming from?
Doesn't seem to change anything, though.
Yeah.
Well, what KW did, and that's why I'm directing you to that website to hear the interviews with this guy. He precisely delineates it. I just don't have a really good recall. But in a nutshell, he got a declaration from a judge in Kentucky that declares this man, KW, is a true holder of land, okay, or has the right to true ownership by virtue of this thing called holder in due course or something like that.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's not. It's no longer the allodial title, which is the old thing that people were always talking about.
No, it's beyond that. It goes back to. It goes back to.
All right, so hold on. Let me just see if I'm following what you're saying. You're saying this guy got an order from a judge saying he was the appropriate holder of some sort of land. What does that do? Does that get him out of property tax or something?
Yeah, it gets him out of everything. I mean, he doesn't have to have a license. Driving is commercial anyway. As you said, the government is all corporate.
So is this just a guy who's on a guest on a radio show? The show you're talking about, the Corporation Nation, that's the show. This guy was just a guest, right?
Yes.
So is there any actual proof of his claims? Because it's one thing to get on a radio show and make some claims. It's another thing to actually show a copy of the order from the judge, with a case number on it and all of that.
Right. Well, you would have to contact Clint Richardson at that.
I'm not interested in doing all of the research to try to validate whether or not this particular claim is true. To me, it should be on the claimant to put that proof out there. And there are a lot of people who called.
Well, he did if he put it out on the website, the Corporation Nation.
No, that's a radio show, and this guy was a guest on that radio show.
Okay.
So the radio show doesn't have anything. I'm looking at the site right now. I don't see anything obvious, there. Maybe it's buried somewhere in the site. But, in the same way that we don't put all the details that our guests tell us about on the radio on our website, I don't imagine this show does the same thing.
Let me interject this too, fellas, because it was just revealed, I think it was last week. It was a repeat today or tonight. KW is suing the state of Kentucky, I don't know for how many billions of dollars. It's a huge figure. But he is literally actually suing the state of Kentucky because he did get he was granted the declaratory judgment status of a true, whatever they call it, free man. I don't know.
There's a lot of big claims here. I mean, that sounds great. But when somebody gets on the air and says their name's KW and doesn't give their own website with the information backing up what it is that they're claiming, I'm calling it into question. And the website that you gave, this Corporation Nation, they haven't even had a new post, it looks like, since 2013.
Oh, my God.
So, I mean, this isn't exactly, first of all, they don't have the information you're claiming that you heard on their show. They just have a guy calling their show making claims. And we've had a bunch of people call this show and make claims about legal theories over the years. I want to see the evidence. I want to see the court filings. And further, I don't just want to see court filings. I want to see video from the court. And I want to see, what happens with this person and the property taxes later on down the line. I want to see the whole thing documented. And no one ever goes through that effort because I don't feel like they really have something that's valuable here.
I think what happens is these people go to court so often that the judges get sick of them and then give them what they want, but it wouldn't happen in any other courtroom. If they traveled anywhere outside their jurisdiction, they'd get in a lot of trouble.
That could be true, but does this, because he's gotten this thing that he wanted, this declaratory judgment or whatever.
Nobody's going to know what that is.
Right.
He goes to the next judge, gets arrested in Louisiana or wherever he's not from, and the judge says, I don't know what this thing is that you've got.
How is
this doesn't matter to me. You're going to jail.
Right. What's the tax collector going to say about that? Brett, thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate it. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. Look, you can call and make any claim you want. It's an open phone show here on Free Talk Live, but I'm not saying Brett is a bad guy or anything like that. I think that he likes this viewpoint that was being expressed on this other radio show, and he wanted to share that with us, and that's valid.
Yeah, that's cool.
But what you're doing is you're essentially passing on what is worse than hearsay. I mean, you're saying, oh, I heard this story on the radio by this guy whose name is KW. There's no other place I can go to verify this information. And so it's like, word passed through somebody else that's being remembered not very accurately. And so it's really not really worth a whole lot.
A lot of people get really excited. Finally, there's this way
way that I can go through the court system and they'll stop asking me for property taxes, because if you have to pay property taxes, that means you don't really own the land. Property taxes are remarkably similar to an annual tax. There's really not much different sort of functionally between a property tax and an annual, I'm sorry, I should have said an annual rent. It's the same thing.
If you had a way, step by step, that you could help people get out of property taxes, like if you knew this worked, then why wouldn't you put just a step-by-step for dummies? First, file this with this court. This is the form that you need to file. This is the wording that you need to put on it. At least this is what worked for me. It would be the thing you would tell somebody. This is my experience. Put it out there. Don't just call some radio show and make claims. Prove it. Anyway, Cody Wilson says about his gun and his suit against the state. He says, I've always led with the rhetoric that information should be free, but there was also an attitude of rote defiance, an allergy to authority that I think is authentically American. He says he intends to fight. We'll see you tomorrow night online in the meantime at freetalklive.com and thederrickj.com.
Here's a breaking medical legal alert. Attention, users of the diabetes drug Actos. If you or a loved one has taken Actos, then developed bladder cancer, or if a loved one has died from bladder cancer after taking Actos, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation from the pharmaceutical giants who made these drugs. Our experienced attorneys are dedicated to help you get the money you're entitled to, but time may be running out on this opportunity. So you must call today. The information is free. There are no fees unless we win your case. If you or a loved one has developed bladder cancer or something worse after taking the diabetes drug Actos, call right now and learn your legal rights. This is an advertisement not valid in all states. I am a paid non-attorney spokesperson. Call the Tort Attorneys 24/7 right now. 800-430-7924. 800-430-7924. That's 800-430-7924.
If you want to move to the free state and you're looking for some real estate.
Oof, I think we've all had enough of that jingle, don't you? If you're going to invest in property in New Hampshire, it just makes sense to support a Liberty-friendly realtor. Call Mark Warden of Team Porcupine Real Estate for investment property or rentals in the Free State, or visit his website. Come on, you know it.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
The live edition of Liberty Conspiracy is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Monday, May 11th, 2015. Silver is trading at $16.51 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,191 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $242. Antiwar.com reports suicide bombers from al-Qaeda's Nusra Front are leading an assault on the hospital complex in the northwestern Syrian town of Jisr al-Shughur, trying to force their way into the last government-held building in a town they took weeks ago. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights reported that around 250 people, some soldiers and some civilians who took shelter there during the fall of the town, have been held up in the hospital for 2 weeks. A suicide car bomber hit the building yesterday, setting the stage for a new siege on the building and trying to force their way in. Nusra forces have continued to secure the rest of the town and the surrounding area with little effort. Syrian military forces have been trying to push their way back into the Idlib province, and President Assad insisted that there would be an effort to rescue the people trapped in the hospital. So far, however, they appear far from putting a new siege to Jisr al-Shughur. For over 35 years, Robertson Roberts has been a trusted source for buying and selling your investment-grade precious metals. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and permanently removed the minimum purchase order for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Robertson Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on investing and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 850-478-5270 or online at rrbi.co. UPI reports Aero Mobile, the company trying to release the first flying car, recently crashed its prototype during a test flight in Slovakia. Stefan Klein, co-founder of the company, was piloting the car when he experienced an unexpected situation, according to a statement. He was 900 feet in the air and was able to deploy a parachute to prevent the crash from being catastrophic. Klein did not suffer any major injuries, and the company is analyzing data from the car to figure out exactly what happened. The statement says, in part, it is necessary to test the prototype in every way possible to establish